My name's Stephanie B. Welcome to Starbase Expanded episode number 15. It's been 15 weeks already, Matt. That seems time flies, eh?
Heck yeah.
Okay, so yeah, we've got some really nice photos this week again, so we'll go through a few of them first, and then we'll go around to the outer sites. A little point of interest of mine anyway over here at Mass is, just give me a sec here, I'll bring up last week's photos too. They do things weird sometimes at SpaceX, I'll tell you. Just give me a second here. I'm going to look at this little area down in here. This is this week. I'm just going to bring up last week's, one sec. Should have had this already done. I was looking at this last night while I was QCing our script and found it very interesting. Okay, so this is last week. Now you're going to have to bear with me a bit here because the photos are inverted to each other. So what we're going to do though is we're going to track this pump, this water line here first. Now remembering that these pumps, the inlet is on the center and their outlet, because they're centrifugal pumps, and the outlet is off to the side here. So this is the inlet. So water's going this way around, but just look at this pipe here for a second, and I'll switch over to this image. Now this week, it's the same pipe here, this pipe here. This week they've removed that pipe, and they've added this extension and brought it over here. And I'll keep going with that in a sec. So this week, I'm pretty sure that pipe goes along here and pops up and goes into the top of that one at the moment. Yeah, last week. So last week, see, there's no top on this one either. So this week, the pipe's running over here. Now, the reason why I say it's funny is because they installed it all one way and then they changed their mind installing it the other way. So it comes over here now, it goes down into this one. Goes down into this one, through this one, and then across underneath and up into this one, then comes out and then goes so it's all the way around. So it comes from here, water comes from the pipe up through this one, down through that one, sorry, up through this one, and then back into the pump. Whereas last week it was coming, that pipe there was hooked up. So that's kind of weird why they did that. Just a little nuance of Starbase. And this week here, we weren't sure if this was hooked up or not, but it is. So this pipe here, this is the so just don't get confused here. There's another pipe here, the fill pipe. It goes underneath there, okay? It continues underneath. You can just see it underneath there. So there's a pipe underneath. So this one here is the gaseous nitrogen coming out. And see, it drops down a bit and then goes across into the nitrogen gas to go to the flame trench. Now this one here is also, we were confused it was hooked up or not last week, but this one's hooked up here. It goes along and it's a T that drops down into another T. So it's kind of like, you put, the plumbing games, what do we call it, pipe games, where you can put T's on T's and so on, carry on. So that's fully hooked up. And there was vapours coming from the flame trench the evening of this photo. So this system's fully operational. Just a little quirkiness of SpaceX, how they install something one way and then change their mind sort of halfway through, literally, the installation and change it to something else. I spent way too long last night working that out. Okay, so I don't think there's any questions on that. That's just something I find interesting. I've got 5x5s, cool. 80 odd in chat. And that, of course, comes over here and runs into this manifold running around the outside here, as we've discussed in depth over the last few days. I believe today they started adding some of these tower sections. I think I saw in some of the chats. Yeah, some of these I think have been added. Here we can see they actually had pre-drilled the holes for them. Just one sec, my dogs are going crazy.
And while we wait for Steph, we want to thank Turtle Sanctuary for the 15 gifted. He gave 3 sets of 5. And then also he donated $10. And he asked Aussie Space Girl if she's from Australia. And when she comes back, I'll tell her why. But thank you, Turtle Sanctuary. We genuinely appreciate it. And congratulations to the 15 people who received the memberships. Welcome to the RGV team.
Oh, I'm back.
So Turtle Sanctuary had a question for you, Steph. He was asking, are you from Australia? He says, your accent's very Pacific. And then he says, sorry, Webby made me say it.
What?
I'm blaming Webby.
What?
Yeah. Fair income Aussie right here. You're listening to a fair income Aussie, yep.
But apparently you sound very Pacific. So welcome to the U.S., my friend. And it's all Webby's fault. Webby, good job.
Okay.
How does Pacific sound? Apparently, according to Stumpy, I don't have as strong an accent as someone like Kelly here does. For some reason, I speak maybe a little bit less Aussie. I don't know. Anywho, yeah, very much Aussie. Live in the southeast corner of Australia, down in Victoria. And yeah, my dog's name is Captain Morgan. Yep.
Is that very Aussie?
Oh.
No, the other dog we lost last year name was Bundaberg, named after Bundy, named after Bundaberg rum in Queensland. His name's Bundy, sorry, named after Bundaberg rum in Queensland. Yeah, no, it's not that Aussie to call a dog Captain Morgan. It's just with those two dogs we used rum references. I don't know why, just we did.
And Pacific probably sounds like me because it's next to the ocean is next to me. So you sound like you're from Cali.
Apparently, I don't have the strongest of Aussie accents, but yeah, no, I'm definitely Aussie.
Well, Pacific is awfully large. I think it includes Australia.
Well, it is, yeah, true. I'm
That's
wondering
fair.
if they mean actually Pacific over this side of the place. A little bit different to Kiwi accents. There's like two Kiwi accents. There's Maori and there's like what Cream Kiwi has, which is I think Scottish based because a lot of Scots settled over there. I have a lot of English in my background. A bit of the English has stayed with us, so I don't quite have that Aussie, full-on Aussie accent. Fair dinkum, mate.
When I think about someone being from the Pacific or whatever, I usually think of Samoans.
Yeah, they were considered Pacific Islanders, so that was the first thing that popped in my head too.
Right.
I hear a few fake Aussie accents that are terrible. Yeah, but I have a little bit more of a British, not accent, but I don't have that full-on Aussie accent. There's a few things, like a lot of words we say, we don't pronounce our R's like you guys do. So, like we go the car and that, not the car. We just say the car. Stuff like that. Anywho, back to Starbase. Enough about me. Me. I know it's always about me. I love it when it's about me. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. I'm quite self-conscious, really. Okay, yeah, I'm Aussie. Aussie as it gets. Well, not exactly, because the First Nation people, Aussie as it gets, isn't it, aren't they? So I'm of British descent. And my father's side was French-German descent from Lorraine.
I think the key in all of that was it's Webby's fault.
Yeah, okay, I'll blame. I've got no idea why.
Is that
I'm happy to go with that.
Alsace-Lorraine, you mean? What? I'm ignoring that, but it's Alsace-Lorraine. It's an area between France and Germany. Yep. Right around where the Maginot Line was.
Oh, cool. I do sound Aussie after all. There you go. Well, there you go. Okie dokie. I was always very self-conscious about my voice, but doing this sort of stuff has helped me enormously with getting a lot of confidence. So appreciate you all for sticking with me over the years. Your support means a terrible amount to me. Thank you very much. All the people in Discord, all the people that comment with me, and all the people on YouTube. It's been amazing, to be honest. Okay, back to Starbase again, because it's not about me. I cracked myself up. So, I was thinking about this angle of these struts. I think I talked about this on yesterday's ground photo show. It's interesting how that works in this test article in here. They're going to be those rams are going to be right back here somewhere. Have we noticed? Oh, they mount onto the tank, don't they? So it's going to be like right back in this angle, I'd imagine. I guess that's why it's this shape, to get so they can pull back on this angle. We've sort of thought that way or whatever, but there's one strut that way, and then there's the other strut right back this way. So it's back on that angle, which I only sort of worked out last night while I was editing the script as well. When you edit script, though, Webb, you really you can sometimes come up with some more detail, and you can sometimes pick up things you hadn't quite picked up before. So Massey's not a lot to talk about at Massey's. So is there any questions about any of that other than the whole Aussie accent thing?
No questions. But Turtle Sanctuary did donate another $10, and he says it's a Pacific joke. You sound Aussie. It's just the best he could do. And he said sorry he lost Cotton this year too. Oh, that must be his dog. I'm sorry.
Oh, gotcha. Oh, we're really sorry to hear that. Yeah, they're really like family out there. I feel for you there. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly how that feels. Yeah. R.I.P. Cotton. Sounds like a really nice name, by the way. Yeah, they've become really much like family. Yeah, very much soulmates, to be honest. Even the naughty ones, hey, Morgan. I don't get the Pacific joke thing. It must be a cultural thing. It's not something I understand, but cool. I appreciate it. Oh, look, you've totally forgiven. Donating $10 more. Yeah, okay, we'll forgive you. No worries at all. You just bought your freedom. Bought your forgiveness. Cool. All right. So I guess the other stand's probably sitting somewhere here. Is it Webber next to the where they usually park him? Yeah.
That stand is parked over by. I think they parked it over by like the nose cone jail. I think is where they parked it over by the proof stand.
Yeah.
Because last night at like 10:40 or 10:40 p.m. Central, they did a test of the purge system on that stand. So they're still messing with it.
Oh, cool. Is there a post of that? Someone we could quick look on X. Let's see what Vic says for me today.
I don't know if anyone posted about it.
If it happened, Vic should have a post on it. Oh no, she doesn't. 29th fencing. Is that the one? I think I might have showed it yesterday.
You can see a little bit. You can see it's a little bit visible there too. Right there.
Yeah.
This would have been the day before, though. That would
Yeah,
have been.
and then they also tested it last night. So.
Oh, that's the 28th. Sorry, yeah. Okay, of course. My app saying 29th was actually on the 28th because Aussie. Because of Aussie.
That would have been 3 days ago. Then.
Oi, oi, oi.
Oi, oi, oi. I heard a comedian, Kiwi, talking about in New Zealand, because in Australia we have a chance like that, and they go, there's no real chance in New Zealand, is there? And a Maori guy in the crowd yelled out one of their chants, and the whole audience chanted back. It was really funny. I can't remember what it was, but yeah,
With
some Maori chant that.
Jeff Arcuri, right?
I think that's right. Yep.
Yeah, I've seen that one. That's a funny clip.
He's a funny fellow. Man, he's funny.
He really is.
Okay, yeah, we're really spoiled with some grand photos this week too, which we've really liberally applied through the this week's flyover update report. Be sure to keep an eye out on it. Okie dokie. So, yeah, because I just feel like we've talked about masses this week for like 60 hours non-stop, to be honest. Oh, actually, there is one thing here I was actually going to bring up, this area. So, have they broken up concrete here? But they've used like a like a pulverizer? Is this gravel they put on top temporarily? I'm thinking it's been pulverized.
Looks like they put gravel on top based off of the dump truck, almost.
That's gravel.
Yeah, I don't see any broken edges.
Yeah,
That's just a gravel bed so that the drill rigs can come over here and work without busting up the existing concrete.
yeah, and which they've been drilling today. So,
well, look here. There's an edge here. See, there's an edge, and this guy's loading the truck. The truck's not emptying here. It's getting loaded here.
I stand corrected.
But I haven't been able to find anywhere the machine that pulverizes. And man, it's done a good. If it's pulverized the concrete, that's done a remarkable job, eh?
I still think that's gravel on there. Didn't we see that one square cut out 2 weeks ago?
it's Stephanie.
Where you're seeing the edge, that was cut out 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it was Stephanie. They could have they could have dumped off a bunch of gravel, and then the excess. Yeah, that wasn't cut out 2 weeks ago. That's never been filled in with concrete in the history of Massey's.
That's right. That is that one spot.
And there's still, I'm pretty sure that's gravel under there.
Yeah, I don't think they paved that either. I think it's just gravel.
They took out the old they took out the old tanks. They cut out the concrete. They laid down gravel. They put too much gravel down, so they're putting it back into the dump truck so that the drilling rig can come over, drill, and put in piles, which it's been doing today.
Because they can't drill through concrete, can it?
I
They
mean,
can't drill. Sorry.
yeah.
Or can it drill through
Yeah.
concrete?
Well, you might as well get rid of the concrete anyways. You're going to make new footings. But the reason they put that there is so it's easier. So instead of breaking up all the concrete, they only break up part of it. And then you just put gravel down. So the crane has an easier time.
Okay, so now I stand corrected. Do you stand corrected once again? You flip flopped again.
I recorrect myself to correct something like that.
Yeah, there are parts of Massey's, as Stephanie is very well aware, have never gotten concreted.
Grr. Yeah, like right there.
Steph, what you're supposed to say is it's right next to the Cybertruck for Ryan.
Yes, next to the beautiful Cybertruck. Yeah.
Next to the dumpster is what it is.
So I looked at all this machinery. It took me a while to find the angle for that, but that's only got forks on it. So there's. I was looking for a concrete mulcher, you know. But anyway, okay, thanks. That makes sense. Obviously, the pile's already here. That's going to happen pretty quickly, I imagine. That whole tank install, especially with the way they're doing things these days with the new skids and pretty well. Like we saw at the build site, the launch site, how quickly they've actually got those new methane tanks plumbed in and actually operational. It's like remarkably quick compared to other installs in the past.
It's basically done. Yeah.
Are these actually skids or are they just proprietary? They were just mounted on. Yeah, they weren't really skids, were they?
Those were. That's from the OG days.
Yeah.
That's like pre SN25 days when they were learning how to build tank farms. So it's their bespoke nonsense.
Yeah, it's
Basically.
no skid at all in there, yeah.
No.
Yeah. Whereas now they just literally dump a skid, hook in the pipes, and off you go. Bob's your auntie. I mean uncle. All right. So there's no other questions for how did the lambs? Can someone remind me? Did the land swap for the Massey's expansion get approved for Mr. Howell?
I don't even
No
know.
on approval, and it's still in comment period.
Yeah. Isn't that to like it's that what 2 areas off to the side of Massey's? They can't actually join Massey's unless they would like build a bridge or something, right? Or
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
or fork the road before it hits the moat, basically.
Yeah, I would expect a Massey's 2.0 and or a test facility in Massey's becomes the actual crying and static firing area.
That area, isn't it?
Yeah, the red.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's a big area.
Well, the problem is they only can use a part of it for testing facilities because you're going to want it as far away from Highway 4 as possible because the closer you are to Highway 4, the more likely you have to close the highway, and you don't really want to do that. So,
But they could use it for storage and other stuff in that area. And even now, they could probably use tank farms over there, even though they're testing, or is that too close to the highway for just like the tank areas?
the 2 plots of land on either side of Massey's, they could build a second shipped static fire stand there with enough room, as well as because that's actually a decent amount of room on either side. They fork the road off, build like another ship static fire stand, and then maybe build another booster or ship cryo stand. Like just kind of start multiplying their testing infrastructure, and then with the way they're moving Massey's around at this point, because we see that they took away the old LOX tanks, and very likely the old LN2 tanks are going to go as well. They can put all their tanks in a line with their pumps, and then they can build more structural test stands at the current Massey's. So they have more structural testing facilities. They can have like 2 ship static fire stands, and then they can have like more booster and ship cryo stands that are off to the side a little bit away from all this other stuff. So in theory, if it's far enough apart, you can work in one location while the other location is undergoing testing if it's out, within outside of a safety area. Probably not during a static fire, but say you're cryo testing a test tank and you're over on one of the other sides of Massey's where that is, well, then you might be able to keep working on another test tank, which would help. So, I mean, we'll see what they do, but that's kind of I think what they're aiming for at this point.
Cool. I'm hoping I've got all the... Is there not many photos this week, Matt, of the surrounding areas?
Yeah, we got a lot. Most of them are in the folder 5, actually.
Let me have a quick look. Sorry, we'll keep going though on the rest. Let's do this in the background quickly. Thought I downloaded 5.
Yeah, there's a few in folder 1, but not many. And there's a couple scattered around throughout the other ones, but most of them are in folder 5. There's some really good ones, too.
Got it. Yeah, no, there are. I can see that now. Thank you. All right, that'll happen before we get there. Okay, so Sanchez. Once again, we kind of talked about this. Now, I did notice last week there was in here, there was 2 of those valve assemblies over here. I'm guessing they were used for the methane offloads. So, crazy dogs are playing. The guide dog, the pure Kelpie Cash, and the beautiful guide dog who's a pure as Labrador. She's got like what do you call it? Her papers. She's got all the good bloodlines all the way back in her line. They're very much pure labs. They're playing. When a guide dog's at home without a harness and not on, they're just another house dog. Play and carry on like any other normal dog does. They're a really nice pet. Well trained pet, mind you. They eat, sleep, and poop on command. Literally. Yeah, so a couple of skids were here last week. Oh, is there one actually still there, actually? So there's only one missing from here from last week, actually. Oops. I'm not sure if it's the actual... It might actually be the same as these, because they had a light on the ones at the launch site. I'm not sure where those 3 went, or where they were stored. Okay, so yeah, most of Sanchez, I guess there's not a great deal to talk about that we haven't already talked about. Lots. Still have no idea what those frames are for. Still no clue at all. Some more steel arrived, this longer steel. I'm not sure that actually gives us anyone any clues. But yeah, there's some more longer steel have arrived this week that seems to be the same sort of steel. Whether it's just going to be cut up to make the same lengths, or whether they're like, looks like there's going to be something welded into these gussets perhaps along the bottom here. A few more plates have arrived. Not sure if that's to do with this or not. It's still a bit of a mystery, that thing. Are they old? Is that an old burn plate?
It's something with holes in it.
Yeah. That helps.
You're welcome.
There's nothing. Well, since last week they mounted that plate. That's about all of that. Yeah, this BZI, they're going nicely. BJ noted this is the taller panels here, so they'll be going the next level up. So I'm guessing they use different. They are two different lengths of paneling here. You can see the cladding, because these claddings here, they only came to about here somewhere. So that's a happening thing. Gee, is that a frame already? That seems very sparse. Doesn't even seem to have this. That's not a complete frame, I don't think. I wonder what they're doing. Because these ones have, the four around the outside, and then it's also got purlins through. This one seems to only have those two bits of steel. Didn't notice that the other day.
Don't know.
Why is that on a rail?
This can wander across backwards and forwards. So this lifts up the panels on this little bridge crane here. Oh, I see it pivots from there. I didn't notice that detail before. It pivots from there, and so this is basically a bridge crane on the end of it here, and they can pick that panel up and put it down here. If they need to go further, they roll the whole thing along. So when they're doing this panel, they roll it all the way over here and lift the smaller collating panels onto it one by one. So they don't have to handle anything by hand, because these would be quite heavy, I would imagine, anyway. So yeah, they put the bare frame down, and then, which is confusing right now because that's not a full bare frame yet, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm not sure these rails are full, but they seem to have one at each station. But yeah, there's wheels under here, and there's a wheel down here, so they just track backwards and forwards, and yeah, add cladding as they go. Does that answer your question?
Answers my question.
Cool. And thanks, Event Dudes. It was a water treatment plant, as I saw you post on Patreon Lounge. I guess they're using the injection well to put the wastewater, or maybe they're taking some of it away. I'm wondering what I saw was not water going. I wonder if these is actual output water, treated water, and actually taking it off site. Because I don't think this system would fully digest waste. Maybe that is an aerobic chamber. They've got the anaerobic chambers here and the aerobic digester here. That does look a lot like an aerobic chamber, to be honest, an aerobic tank.
Yeah, you're correct. There's a black truck or whatever truck that takes away waste. They were trying to apply forever to try to be able to dump waste like gray water kind of stuff. And I don't think they've ever been approved for that. So they just currently truck it away.
Oh, that's not even hooked up, that injection well. Okay, cool. Yep. I've worked in like ski resorts where we have a full-on sewage system, and we were able to outlet into the national parks. But they came and monitored it. We weren't allowed to release any bacteria at all. We had to have the final outlet had to have a chlorination of some kind to kill all the bugs. So we're allowed to release chlorinated water, but we weren't allowed to release water with microbes in it, which sounds a bit odd, but anyway, that's how it was. That was the rules. Cool. So yeah, Sanchez. I used up my big talking point I found yesterday with the new gas generation at Massey's. So I'm sort of relying on some questions.
We haven't gotten any questions yet, but we have tons of donations.
Yeah, go through. I can see. Oh, wow. Awesome. Holy moly. Good on you. Yep. Thank you.
So first off, we already hit our donation goal in the first 20 minutes of the show, which is amazing. Like outstanding, you guys. And then we got 21-pound donation from Martin. He broke it up into two different donations. We got another 10, 20, 30, $40 donation from Turtle Sanctuary, which I think brings his total to like 60 in the first 20 minutes. Plus he gifted memberships. Then we got a donation from DMHMT. She donated $4.99. Yazada, and she said standing in for Yazada. Then Yazada joined and said, I'm in, and he donated $5. And then Aspen came in with another $5 and says, goal. So we hit our goal. Thank you all so much.
Well, that's incredible. Awesome. Good on you guys. Really appreciate that. 160 RB in chat. That's pretty good effort for only 160 RB. Wow. It's amazing.
That's what we do in chat.
This building on the ground photo, looking up at that building on the ground photo, sometimes you kind of get an idea of the hang on, I'm not looking at Mike. You kind of get an idea of how tall it is sometimes when you look when
Yeah, it's gonna get even taller.
like this photo, you can kind of sense the scale of the thing here. I mean, it would be nothing like being there, I know that for sure, but for us
Yeah,
foreigners that can't make it all the way
there's-
over there, this is a bit about as good as it gets.
There is, what is it? There's a half column, which is level 5. Is what it looks like. That's up next. After which, because they just basically finished level 4. It doesn't look 100% finished here, but I think by now they've already finished it. Probably the tower cranes will go up. They'll do the braces. Then level 5, which is a half column, goes up, and then level 6, which is kind of like a weird one. It's not like a full column, but it's kind of like a partial full, which has the bridge crane rail tabs on them for the transfer bridge cranes. And then after that is level 7, which is the roof and penthouse level, if you want to call it that, which just recently, within the last like day or two, Roberts Road started putting up level 7 columns up to where it would finally hit the full height, which is 383 feet tall, or 115 meters or so. So Roberts Road wins. It's going to win this one. That's for sure. It's not, this thing isn't going to catch up. But either way, it's really cool to see this thing constantly go up. And it'll probably be a few more months until we see it to the same height as Roberts Road, because they've spent some time doing other stuff. And they have to paint everything else, too. And then they have to spend the time integrating it with the Star Factory. But I can't wait to see this building finished. They need Gigabay badly. Especially with all the things with Guardian Booster 19, Booster 20, and all the issues with having test tanks on your turntables preventing you from building stuff. They sorely, badly need a much better designed bay than what they have, because what they have is just completely inadequate for the program. But we're getting close.
It has served them well for now, though. What they have, yeah, for R&D now. Yeah, now they got their R&D. Well, I wouldn't say finished yet, but pretty well. You know, they've got a lot of R&D under their belt now. They can start doing proper construction.
Do you think they're gonna pull down that side of the factory and build it back a little bit taller? Because I thought they were just gonna add like a little center section just to kind of buffer over to it, but it kind of looks like they're gonna tear that down, possibly.
So what they're doing right now is, if you want to go back to that, what they're doing right now is they're taking the sidewall off, and all of those windows are going away. The siding is going to get completely changed over to the render that they have, which means the strip of windows is just going to continue along, and then it's going to taper down to a point, and then that's where that point kind of hooks into the Gigabay. At some point, they will take the siding off, take the siding off that side, and then they'll integrate it into the Gigabay, and it'll likely be basically a kind of like a transfer aisle, but not really, but an aisle between the factory and the bay that goes down that area. They have to. It's going to be interesting how they do the construction, because they're either going to have to leave the area open towards the mega bays, or towards Highway 4. Otherwise, they can't keep building ships. They have to have that door accessible for nose cone and payload bays to move in and out. So I can't wait to see how they do it. But they can't like just knock the whole thing down and mess it up. They have to meticulously hook it in and leave one side open at all times. Or if they block a side, they have to finish it off quickly so they can move a vehicle in and out.
Well, you remember?
Otherwise, they stop all construction.
Remember how they had that little pop off and like raise in elevation of the roof height and stuff like that with the rear facing door and all that? I'm just wondering if maybe they're gonna tear the wall of the factory back, maybe 50 or 100 feet or something like that, and then like kind of rebuild that raised section, kind of.
Nah, then you have to tear out the footings, tear out all the columns, probably tear out a bridge crane if you go back that far. That's kind of a pain to do. You might as well just keep it the way it is and hook it all in.
Yeah, makes sense.
I am of the mind. What I think they should do. Of course, this is just me, but I think that the very high section right there, where they have the nose cones pass through, I think they should take that height and push it all the way back to the edge of the Gigabay. So you push that all the way back, and so you have that raised section going all the way back there. The problem is to dismantle the roof and put in new columns, redo the bridge crane setup. That would be kind of a pain in the butt as well. So my guess is they're going to deal with what they have, and they'll just have a fully raised section through that basically lines up where, I mean, you see where that ends right there, right at the stacking stations. My guess is the aisle will hook into the Gigabay there and then stay at that height and go all the way back. And they'll have one exit for nose cones and everything like that. That's just kind of how they're going to have to deal with it. Roberts Road is going to be the curious one to me, because if I were SpaceX at this point, I would take that height where you have the nose cones, and I would make the entire factory that size. I'd make the whole factory that size, is what I would do.
Has nobody thought this might have gone subterranean?
No, I'm wondering eventually too. On that note, whether they'll like they stack booster barrel sections taller too, actually in the factory, and bring out like taller barrel sections for the booster as well, or even like the bottom half of the ship too, even.
Yeah, but the roof of the factory won't support higher ships, correct? The nose cones, it's all piece, correct?
Well, it's a nose cone plus the payload bay is what it has, and the payload bay is going to get taller on Block 4, which will probably max out that section. Because they'll probably add 2 rings to the payload bay, or at least a ring or 2, be my guess, to increase volume.
And will that fit through the door that's there now? Or is the door too low?
They can add a few more rings. I'd have to look back, but they can add a few more rings to the nose cone to fit through the payload bay. I think their biggest limitation isn't the door, but is how high they can make a nose cone and payload bay section and not have issues with the bridge crane when they go to stack it on a turntable.
Yeah, because the bridge crane's a limiting factor. Yep.
Yeah, I think that would be the more limiting factor. I think they can do a ring or 2, but I don't remember how high the bridge crane is in that taller section. BJ or someone else might remember that more than I do. But what they could do, because the nose cone and payload bay would end up being somewhere around like, that could probably be like an 8-ring tall section. In theory, they could take 2 quads, stack them, and roll them out, and do some of that in the factory, so that when they actually do it in the Gigabay, it's less sections you have to stack in the Gigabay. You're just stacking them in the factory now. So you're basically rolling bigger sections out, and then you're stacking them. And so it takes less time to stack it in the Gigabay, which means it's less time the vehicle spends on the stacking turntable in the Gigabay. And then it's also less time it spends on the construction stand if you do more of it in the factory. So if you get a bigger factory space to do all that in, and you have a higher roof with higher bridge cranes, then you can do that, which is where I think Roberts Road is going to come in. I don't think they can really do that here. I don't think they have the room, not without a massive change to the factory itself. But I think that's where Roberts Road comes into very high production capacity, far more than what Starbase will be able to put out.
Well, isn't the real premise here that this is a R&D facility, and
Yeah.
unfortunately it's limited by its height? Where at this point?
Well, I think that part of that is because they used 4 different contractors to build the Star Factory.
Well, the
Remember?
contractors had to work from a scope that SpaceX gave them.
Yeah. Well, I think it was multiple different contractors, or it was multiple different styles, and I think it was SpaceX trying to figure out how they wanted to build the factory. And I'm kind of curious which way they figured was the best way, and whatever that is, that's what's going to happen at Roberts Road. They still need permits to do the clearing of the phase 2 location at Roberts Road, and then they can build their 1.5 million square foot factory or 2 million square foot. Because this is 1 million, give or take. So the one they want to build at Roberts Road is going to either be 50% or 100% bigger than this thing.
I mean, if you think about it, this factory is a prototype in itself.
Yeah. And I mean, the Megabays were prototypes that which led to how they made Gigabay. Gigabay is the ultimate lesson learned between the windbreak, the mid bay, the high bay, and the Megabays. Gigabay is definitely the lessons learned with work platform access, a transfer aisle, areas to bring barrel sections in and not do it where you want to bring your vehicles out, because having one doorway has screwed them up so many times in the past. The Gigabay is certainly a step in the right direction, and I mean, as I think David said at some point, and I mean, it makes sense, as soon as this one is done and ready to produce vehicles, Megabay 1 and Megabay 2, they're gone. They're going bye-bye, and another Gigabay is going to take its place. And at Roberts Road, I wouldn't be surprised they build another 2 or 3 Gigabays once they get the chance to. Because when you think of how much they want to launch and everything, you 24 stations, 12 of which are basically, at least in this Gigabay, 12 of which are going to be, and the one at Roberts Road, are going to be for construction. So for stacking and post-stacking, finishing ops. And you only got 12 for like post-cryo, post-static fire, and refurb. 12 is not enough. That's not enough. You need to build like a Gigabay or 2 that is 24 stations to service and refurb vehicles in. And then you got to build a payload processing facility too. We don't even know where that's going to be or what that even looks like.
Sanchez.
Well, yeah, that's the thing, is because right now they've got the Starlink loader box, which they might use that on S39. We'll have to wait and see. But like, that can do your Starlink, sure, but when you start, having cargo doors and larger commercial satellites and space station modules and cargo for the moon and for Mars, where are you going to load that? What kind of building you going to build for that? That's what I'm curious about. And where, too.
Yeah, if you look at Sanchez in this picture, it's good for maybe 500,000 square feet, maybe 3/4 if it's a really odd shape.
Yeah, like I look at it and I go, well, that big yard where they're currently building all the Gigabay cladding, they have a bunch of they have a ton of piping, valves, and everything that are basically ready for Pad 1 when they start building those trenches and redoing the tank farm again. They have all that piping basically set aside in Sanchez, but once all that's said and done, they could build a massive hangar in Sanchez to store vehicles and to do payload integration or something. That's what I
I
always
mean, it'd
thought.
be, in the overall scheme of things, there just isn't enough room in the inn at this location.
No. Yeah, that's the other problem. Is the only way to do it. I mean, in a perfect world, you would square off Sanchez into those flats. You'd square it off and build a gigantic hangar like the size of 2 gigabays. But you know, don't live in a perfect world. I don't know if they could get the approval to even do that.
Well, the fact that NASA's kind of, they're looks like they've got a lot of NASA work coming at them, and whatever level that's at, that might help them with approvals.
Yeah, it might. They have the room at Roberts Road to do a lot of this stuff too. So I'd be kind of curious how they're going to utilize all that room. And I don't think it would be that difficult per se, especially if NASA is really going to push hard towards the moon base and they want to use Starship to do cargo runs. I don't think it would be too hard for them to get the approvals to do another expansion to the north on Roberts Road. There really isn't anything there. It is just marshland, but it is a wildlife preserve. But to get the approvals to clear out another area and build more bays or something, I don't know how long it would take, but I wouldn't count that out either.
The other advantage they have is there's probably some NASA space that they could probably take away from existing buildings and tear them down because they serve no useful purpose and redevelop those in a newer, in support of this operation.
Like some payload integration in one of the high bays.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida's got a lot of space, and NASA's got a lot of space and a lot of buildings that they've developed, and a lot of that could go away because it sounds like NASA's trying to cut back the bare bones and operate on a commercial basis for their support, and so that might free up some space for Blue Origin or SpaceX to pick up.
Blue Origin really doesn't need any more room. They have so many new buildings going up at their campus. It's nuts. Whether it's for lunar landers, whether for SATs, whether it's for New Glenn stuff or whatever, they have so many buildings. I don't think they need more room. They can keep clearing stuff near their campus, which is, for those who don't know, is just literally just south of the visitor center. If anyone's been there, you've driven by the gigantic campus they have. It's much bigger than even the production site at Starbase. It's huge everything they have down there. But I'd be curious to see where SpaceX would put more stuff, especially if they really want to launch as much as they want to launch. The infrastructure they currently have planned for the Starship program will not cut it for launching as much as they want to. For example, that entire wooded area there, it's still wooded there. That is part of phase 2. They need the approval to clear that, and then they can slap the Star Factory right there, and then hook it into the Gigabay there, and then you got enough room, build 2 more Gigabays north of that Gigabay, so you get a line of 3 Gigabays and then a Star Factory. And that's your Starship production and refurbishment at Roberts Road. I don't know if anyone wants to even imagine that, but that would look amazing.
That's huge.
I mean, it's nothing like the Terrafab they want to build. It's that Roberts Road is tiny compared to the stupidity of that.
We do have another question from chat. All for One is asking, somehow he missed the HESCO test stand removal. Now that SpaceX has COPV in-house, would they test them in Star Factory or in the area they used to make the tiles?
Helium testing. COPV testing's done over here at Massey's, yeah?
Yeah, it's still there. Looks
there.
like a lot of the hoses are disconnected right now, but it's still there.
Well, I haven't seen it tested for a while. They haven't needed to test for a while because they haven't got any new vehicles ready to have CRPVs installed and tested yet. Got to wait for 41 and 20. Yeah.
And then we got $20 more donation from Turtle Sanctuary, who broke it up into 2 different donations. In the first donation, he says, "I'm sorry to Ryan Weber. He referred to you as Webby, and he felt like he doesn't know you well enough, but he also gave his name, and he said he's more than happy for you to call him by his name." And then his second question is, can we launch a helium balloon too to the moon? Would that need approval? Turtle Sanctuary is quite funny.
I don't know if it would make that, number one. Number two, Jack's the one who came up with that, so I really don't care. I can't even remember when it happened. He just came up with Webby one day, and it just kind of stuck at this point. So,
I mean,
Yeah.
it does follow that your last name is Weber, and we all
Yeah.
call you Webby.
Oh, everyone who's called Weber in Australia gets called Webby. That's how we do things in Australia
just
anyway.
that.
I think because isn't Jack's Canadian? Is that right? I can't remember
Yes.
now. Maybe.
He is.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they do this because they have similar slang, but maybe they do that up there as well.
Hmm.
It's just you don't have to know anybody properly to do that in Australia. We just do that to everyone's name anyway, mostly. That's
Same
all
in the
good.
US.
Oh, sorry.
We do the same in the US. We would have called him Webby regardless.
Yeah.
I don't really care, to be honest. I don't care one way or the other. Like, I don't. It's fine. But yeah.
Aussies don't care. Aussies don't care. We care not. You just get called that anyway. Now, where was I? Thanks for all that, Webby. That's good. I appreciate you having a yak there about the questions that come up. So yeah, keep the questions coming up, and we'll keep answering them for you. Awesome, and thanks, Indy. You're doing a wonderful job over there. Keep an eye on chat for us. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
It is kind of nuts when you really start delving into it with the Starship program. You start thinking about the logistics of things, of building vehicles, refurbishing them, making all the engines, having the prop needed to launch as much as they want to do. It really feels SpaceX and especially Elon loves to throw around the numbers of building 1,000 starships a year, or building or launching hourly. But when you say things like that, I don't really think he understands I truly don't think he understands the logistics behind something like that. Like the sheer insanity of doing a 1 per hour with the Starship program. That's the amount of propellant and satellites and material required to do such a thing is order of magnitudes more than the human race has ever been able to do at any point in its history. Like, order of magnitudes.
He never said it was all going to be from one spot.
But even from multiple locations, that's still nuts to do that. Like,
I don't know whether it's a ignorance of logistics or if it's just like, some people project a vision, and if it wasn't for people like that doing things like that, we wouldn't, technology wouldn't advance as much. Quite often the goal seems unreasonable, but in time these goals get met eventually. Technology will catch up. Technology usually catches up. I know a lot of industries that project forward thinking before, and like even plans, even start, and developing stuff where some of the technology isn't available just yet. But as they go forward, the technology, especially when there's commercial money involved, technology quite often fills in the gaps in quite a lot of different industries. But yeah, I agree. It's a bit of a pie in the sky for now. I do agree with that, Webb. I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. It is very much a pie in the sky for now, for sure. Absolutely. And you're right. It's mind blowing the just even what we're seeing now, because this even Gigabay, like compared to what Elon says, Gigabay is still only it might as well be the mid bay, to be honest, compared to what he wants to do, really, isn't it? It's still only a tiny drop in the whole bigger picture that I think he wants to see. And like you say, it's even the factory here is really small, like compared to what you're going to do at Florida and other sites. I mean, is there a way to build another? I suppose we wouldn't need to another actual factory for 37 over at Florida, or are they pretty well
Your
limited by their own by the property now?
your area to build your factory is Roberts Road. Um, there really isn't any area within the space launch area within SLE 45, the Cape Range there, Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. If I can remember the name off the top of my head, God dang it. Unless they were to like knock down the whole industrial area they have there and build up a star factory, which that's not going to happen. Roberts Road is where it's at. That's where they're going to have to build everything. The thing is getting it out of with it likely being a more operationally built star factory instead of like one out of R&D. They should be able to get a decent capacity out of it with a couple of gigabays. But of course, that is a long ways away until that even remotely becomes operational. They got to start building it first.
Gwen says when Elon says they're going to make 8 billion Optimuses a year, it's time to get him tested for dementia. Oh, sorry. I thought I was going to say it's time to get really worried, but no. Cool. All right, that'd be build site, and a bit of an insight there from Mr. Weber as far as the future goes with factories and facilities. Yeah, it's interesting. I always love talking about how the R&D here, how the future SpaceX will is stepping forward off the back of the R&D that's happened here. We've always known all the way along with this factory that it's an R&D factory, not just for the rockets, but as a factory, how a factory works. And just going back to the different techniques of building, we can see them here quite obviously. Really, there was the first stage there, and then little corridor. Then there was a second stage over here with the big press in there. And this area here was distinctly different with the grey beams. And then they went on to different technique again through here, of course, because it was higher. And then another different technique through here for the last two stages, where the last two tents used to be. Seems like such a long time ago. We were looking at rings in the ring garden coming out of tents through here. Hey, Indy, I'll let you go back to the chat for a sec.
Sure. We just got another $10 donation from Turtle Sanctuary, who says, "Good night, nerds. Thank you for watching RGV. I wish everyone a happy day tomorrow. Tomorrow being April 1st.
Oh, you're lucky I'm not a prankster, because, it's actual April Fool's Day here right now. April Fool's.
There was
let's go on.
I was going to say there was a question about if you guys celebrated April Fools or not in chat, and Des actually told us you guys do.
Yeah, it's fairly big in Australia. I think pranking in general, I think's a bit more of a bigger thing in Australia, in America, physically pranking. But in Australia, we tell a lot of they're not lies, but we tell stories. I don't know. We just take the piss. I don't know. It's hard to say that. It's hard to explain that without sort of swearing a little bit. But yeah, no, we do April Fools. We do Easter a lot bigger than you guys, I think. In Australia, Easter's a really big thing, especially for the religious folk. For the rest of us, it's very much Easter egg hunt in the backyard, in the back garden. So we do Easter it's quite popular over here in Australia, Easter. I don't think it's quite as big in America. Is that right, Alaskans don't do Easter quite as much in America? Sorry, religious question, sorry.
Easter's pretty big.
Sorry?
We celebrate Easter and Lent and all sorts in the UK.
Yeah, we do the no fish on a Friday thing in Australia, yeah. The Good Friday, yeah. And through Lent, all the way through Lent, 4 weeks, we don't do fish on Fridays. or some of us. All right, on to the launch site. So I missed your answer, Alaska. I appreciate if you don't want to answer it.
No, it's fairly big. It just depends on where you are and what you are. When I was kid growing up, that Friday thing was all year round.
Yeah, okay. I understand that with some communities too. Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, you eat fish on a Friday.
Yeah, some communities, sorry, I'll move on to launch site, sorry. Okay, launch site. But yeah, we do April Fools. Yeah, we do it. Just not quite as big as over there. Like already on this morning on a Facebook post, someone said, "Oh, is it raining in Wodonga?" And it's like, there's not a cloud in the sky. And everyone's saying, no, it's not raining in Wodonga. What are you talking about? Because no one got the joke. And then I said, April Fools. Okay, so they've got all this, man, the aerial finesse of some of these guys is getting a little bit ridiculous. Finesse, I'm going to use that word. Standing on pieces of timber, my goodness. So I think this side's underway or finished. I forget what I read this morning now already. No, that side's pretty well finished.
Both
think there's
sides
one
are
panel
almost
left.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one big panel left on that side, and they're doing. I think they recently lifted that front panel up. Today during the day, I think they did. But other than that, they're moving along pretty nicely. So.
Fly Jake has a question. He's
Sure.
wondering, will they clad the entire tower too?
Nope. They got that cladded up as much as they want to, based off of a booster landing. We'll see if they do it. They add more after a ship landing, or if they think they need to add more. But that's still a little bit more than even Tower 1, if I remember correctly. So they're trying to seal it off. It's a little bit different shielding design. They're trying to seal it off more for ship landings and other things. And then, of course, the roof was added for shielding for ship flip and burns. That should be just about as much as they want to add to it. Cladding, while nice to protect the insides of the tower, also adds a decent amount of weight to the tower. And that cladding isn't necessarily light per se. That much cladding adds a lot of weight. It also means you got to replace it more. It also changes the wind loads on the entire tower, because instead of having the wind pass through the tower, it now hits the side of the tower and pushes on it. So while it probably could withstand the wind load, it's just another thing you don't really want to add to the tower if you don't have to. So there's just no reason to. You only clad what you need to and leave it at that.
I mean, the renders, we see the renders, they seem to be, reasonably accurate of late. So maybe in the future, a bit longer, when they've, see, right now, they're only doing what's really necessary, because they're still very much in the R&D phase, really. Yeah, they're starting to get, closer and closer to final, sort of production and commercial, use. I imagine version 3 may be able to do a bit of commercial, like Starlink. I guess we may see some version 3 actually doing proper Starlink missions. So, but still, they've still got version 4 and later versions to go. But in the future, they may clad the tower. And Webby, I'd question the wind resistance of a fully clad tower to a non-fully clad tower. I think, especially on wind direction, I think a clad tower may have less wind resistance. That's all, because this is very wind draggy, whereas a clad tower isn't so much wind draggy. I think you may find. I'd need to research that a bit more.
Yeah, I think you do.
The other thing, and I'll always use an example for anyone that says they should clad the entire tower. SpaceX had the FSS, or the Fixed Service Structure Tower at 39A, which was used for shuttle, and was actually taken off one of the MLs from Apollo. But they had that tower cladded It was cladded up to protect it. After a while of Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy launches, they took all the cladding off and left it that way because it became too much of a pain to constantly change the cladding out again and clean it and refurbish it. And they figured it was far easier just to take the cladding off than to leave it on. So they took the cladding off. If that gives you any indication, no, they will not fully clad these towers because of that. They didn't even do it at 39A, so I don't think they would even do it on these towers either.
Another thing with cladding, it creates a enclosed space where you've got methane and oxygen, so it needs purging and all sorts of things too. Yeah. I mean, they do have places where they have fully clad, but yeah, you've seen the purging system in the bunker is quite massive.
Yeah, they'd have to add if they were to really fully clad and enclose the tower. Unless there was they would have to add a purging and venting system, especially near the SQD arm and around other areas, and that's just more weight and more complexity, and it's pointless. I just leave it open, too. So there's reasons to not do it.
He's talking about Aussie animals. The Aussie animals aren't so dangerous. Like anywhere else, you leave them alone, they leave you alone mostly.
Kangaroos are mean.
Sorry?
The kangaroos are mean. They punch people.
Only if you provoke them. Only if you go up to them and provoke them. They don't attack you. They don't come and... They run away from you. But if you corner one or whatever, yeah, they'll... Yeah, kangaroos are dangerous man. They're mean mothers. But just don't provoke them. Don't go play with them. Just watch them in the paddocks. Oh, how cute, and leave it at that.
That says rule of thumb.
You wouldn't go up to a bear and start playing with a bear, would you? I mean, it's the same thing.
Maybe a cub. That says it's a rule. If it has fangs, don't poke it with a stick.
If it has fangs in its knee, just stand still. As soon as you stand still, a snake doesn't see you as a danger, and he'll just slither on past you. It's hard to do, I must say. It takes a little bit of presence of mind, but if you just stand still, they don't see. You disappear. It's a bit like that movie, Predator. When you stand still or whatever, they can't actually see you, or sort of, if you know what I mean. Anyway, we haven't had a death of snakes for yonks, especially black snakes. Like the black snake that lives under my house keeps the dangerous snakes away.
I've seen videos of kangaroos standing on their tails and kicking with both feet.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. They're dangerous,
Crazy.
yeah. Especially the big bucks. You get a big buck upset, poof, and up close, yeah. They're not... They can hurt you big time. But like a bear, you don't go and punch them. They won't punch you back. That's pretty simple.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes at wildlife reserves, you get the odd person they don't get hurt, but a kangaroo will stand up to them, whatever. But like any animal, it gets caged after a while, they might get a little bit cagey.
How far would a kangaroo kick somebody if it were on its tail? Like say me, a 70 kg man. If that kicked me with both feet, how far would it go?
Oh, a couple of 100 meters. No, what they'll do though is they'll open you up with their sharp claws. They grab you with their little T-Rex hands, pull you by the shoulders forward, and then do some damage with their legs. It's very, very rare. That rarely happens because in Australia we're taught from a very young age, don't play with the wildlife. It's pretty simple. Even koalas look cute, but if you get a koala angry, poof, it's not cute anymore. That's for sure. They have a nasty habit of tipping upside down and start gnawing away. I'll just leave that image in your head because I'm not going to say anything more about that. Okay, enough about Australian animals. I should say, no, the animals are really dangerous over here. You've got to be real tough to live in Australia. We're really tough over here. We're so tough. We live with the world's most dangerous animals. But it's not like that at all. It's not like that at all.
You live with the most dangerous criminals.
No, I don't think so. Australia's really laid back. Australia's a very laid back place. Oh, well, we used to be a penal colony, yeah. But that was back in bloody 17, whatever. Way back. Not like that at all now.
On a side note, Event Dudes put in a video of the
Side
nighttime
note, we're
static
talking about
fire today.
Starbase. Sorry, we're talking about Starbase. Side note. Sorry, you keep going.
The nighttime static fire stand purge. He put a video in chat in Patreon
thanks.
Lounge.
Cool. That's right. Cool. Thank you. Getting back to Starbase.
Love you guys. I really do.
One sec. I haven't been looking at that conversation. Oh, yeah, I can see. Yep, purging going on the stand there. Yep, looks about right. It's coming up in little streams too, like you'd expect. Because of all the do I need to go there? I'll go there anyway. Because of all the little outlets we saw on the stand, all these little outlets, you can almost see which ones they are. Like that one and this one, and where is it over here? This one are probably the three we can see actually in this bit of video. Right there, 1, 2, 3 of them distinctly. Not bad for a heavily pixelated video, to pick out that. That's pretty cool. It helps to know exactly what you're looking at, though, I guess. And then there's 3 more over that side. So are they at engine locations?
No, they're in between. So you see where the RVACs are? The RVAC mounts. So that's one RVAC exactly opposite of the QD. Okay? And then you got and then you got a pair of RVACs on other sides of the QD on the QD side. The purges are in between the RVACs.
So it fills the gaps between all the engines.
Yeah, it fills the gaps. So you see, you got 2 sets of purges right on either side, right in between the there. You've got 2 sets of purges right there, and then you got 2 sets of purges on the QD side. So 6 purges total, and there's pairs in between each RVACs, and of course there's 3 RVACs. So that's how they set it up.
Actually, I didn't notice that after all this amount of time, I didn't actually notice that I was paired exactly to them. No, good on you.
Because you're not going to purge right up into the RVAC. What your plan is as soon as those 6 engines shut off, the purge starts, so that any of the residual, methane that's burning off up inside the engine bay is purged and made inert or diluted and pushed out of the engine bay, down and into the trench, or out the vents. So that's basically what the design is for. Yep.
I guess without the
And
edit,
that-
that cavity's deeper now.
Well, I don't really know if they have a false ceiling or something. We won't know what the inside of that aft truly looks like until they go to stack it on a booster.
Yeah.
But the aft dome is moved down a little bit more, and it is flattened out a little bit more in the middle, because they moved it down and then they had to flatten it out in order to keep the center Raptors level as even with the bottom of the skirt as they could, because the RVACs could not move down. So instead of them moving the RVACs down, they moved the dome down over the RVAC power heads, which now the RVAC power heads are partially in a cavity inside the LOX tank. So that's how that's set up. So I think they moved the dome down, like, I'd have to ask Nick again how much they moved it down, but I think they moved it down like a meter. So basically covers the entire RVAC power head. I think they moved it down like half a ring, or a little bit less than half a ring, because the common dome also got moved down, like I think 0.8 or something. Again, I'd have to ask Nick. He he ran the numbers after he looked when we saw those sections roll out. But they basically move both domes down so they can put more prop into the ship without having to add more rings to the ship. And they can keep the same payload capacity. So that's how they did all that. But as you can see, that's how the purge is set up. Either way.
Yeah.
I wondered too whether they've changed the start sequence somehow. So just before ignition, they want to purge in there. Maybe there's a bit more residue. Like if they're using methane now to do the spin up, for instance, whether there's actually going to be, a combination of a dangerous combination of methane and oxygen gases down here just before ignition, and maybe they want to, make sure there's no little explosions before engines start now. And also because of the new design, maybe it's a bit more sensitive to little explosions like that happening in the engine bay area.
So they're starting them like a bit richer, maybe, and
Well, I've heard. I'm not sure. It's hard in this. It's hard sometimes to sort of filter what's right and wrong. But I'm understanding that they're not using inert gases now to spin up the turbines. They're using actual high pressure oxygen and high pressure methane, respectively, for the turbo pumps to be spun up. And I'm wondering if the exhaust of that spin up process is something that needs to be quenched just before ignition.
Possible. And I think a DSS also goes alongside that. That could be why it's added now. All this was now added with Raptor 3. They have them. They still kept the DSS around for that reason. Because basically, you would then ignite the gases because it's the spin up gas. Then,
Yeah.
Because I'd forgotten that. I couldn't remember who said that they switched to those. It might have been TSE, but either way, it's I guess they needed it now for Raptor 3 for reasons. So
Good question. Now to turn to spider talk. Aussies, people only want to talk about Australia. It's all good. Thank you. I appreciate you asking questions about Australia because we're not that well known around the world, really. I have a pet spider. I can see him right now. He lives up on the corner of the ceiling up there. He's fine. He eats the insects, and he's harmless. And he's about, I don't know, he'd be 5 inches across. But they're harmless, completely harmless. No more dangerous than a fly.
It's more dangerous to live in Britain and not know 56 different dialects.
Want to talk about spiders? Is Jake in chat? Ask Jake about his little pets. Oh, they sound crazy. Anywho, moving on.
Jacob's got little pants.
He's got tarantulas.
He said pants.
So over here, yeah, it looks like they're gonna. So it took us a while. Well, I suppose we did this, didn't we already? We looked. I don't know whether anyone in chat didn't see our chat the other day. We looked at 39A with the bunker. Just give me a second. Let me find the right image. This image might do. I've got to come further around. Well, there's a difference in the height, how this is sunk into the ground. We also found out that they've actually lowered the ground level just here underneath here. So we'll see as the building gets built how much it's actually a different size bunker and how much it's the sinking in the ground. You can kind of see a slope there where it goes down, and it's not obvious a lot of the times, but that was one spot that was obvious over that side. There's also these pipes here go down on the angle down here too, so you can see here the difference in height between here and here. So this ground level is actually lower here as well, which, getting back to Starbase, that's what they're going to do in here as well. But at Starbase, they must have a bit more of an issue with groundwater, so they're having to put sheep piles further along. on the gantry side, outside of the trench. I'm not sure. Get mixed messages whether this is going to be concreted or not. I don't think it has to be, but I've got an idea it will be. But
If they want to put like a bunch of heavy equipment or they want to stage a bunch of materials, they're supposed to have to, at least they're supposed to concrete it. Per the agreements and everything. Like, at least that's what they're supposed to do. We'll just put it that way. So
I can see them concreting this driveway and even access, and then that all that concrete fairly soon to get rid of all this problem with all the dirt everywhere. But I mean, there's always going to be a bit of dirt around, especially when you're going to dig a great big hole in the ground. But yeah, I can see all this being concrete soon just to make things cleaner.
it gives a nice hard surface to put to stage things on, store things on, work on things, workbenches, welding, all that fun jazz. So
It's over there, isn't it? I was just trying to see if that hydraulic unit had been removed from that Stargazer's photo.
Starship Gazer.
Starship Gazer, sorry. Sorry, my words aren't working again today.
You're fine. You got the major parts.
I was doing two things at once.
Words are hard.
Words are hard anyway, yeah. And in amongst doing two things at once, I lost my launch site photos. I mean, I closed the window, you know what I mean? Well, they're bright. Why are they so bright? Yeah, what's going on? Oh, no, we're right. We've got a handle on it. I know what I'm doing, trust me. Trust me, I'm an Aussie. Okay, ASU unit. So ASU site. ASU unit's one of those, ATM machine words you shouldn't use. The ASU site, I guess there's not much to say here. I think BJ's saying this is old conduit that used to be over here or something. Let me just look at last week's image quickly here. Here it is. Was it buried or moved or taken out? Maybe it was. Oh no, it was taken out. Where we're looking. So these two risers. Yeah, it's been taken out and all dumped into there. So it is a scrap heap. It is landfill. I'm sure they'll cut it all away. Yeah, see, I learned when I edit the script, I learn a lot more than I had. Things
It's a
show when you
cable
start.
locator's nightmare.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah.
Is conduit kind of like copper? They used N instead of L and they had to rip it all out?
I don't know. Change a plan. Once again, I'm not sure whether you're being funny then or serious.
It has to do with the thickness of copper, whether you use N or L.
Okay, yeah. So electrical in Australia comes in two varieties, grey and orange, and you're not allowed to use the orange above ground because it's not UV stabilized. So the grey, all this grey stuff is UV stabilized. So in Australia, a lot of this would be done in orange conduit, all this underground stuff. There's orange conduit everywhere underground, and you're not supposed to, and you're not allowed to use grey conduit underground because it's not structurally as strong. So underground, it's like structural strength as well. It's all orange.
So
So, no,
usually why you shoot it through the grey tubes, though, can't you?
so just going back to Alaska's question, I don't know that there's difference in. I've never heard of difference in wall thickness in electrical conduit, personally, but
I
that's in
didn't mean
Australia.
grey, I meant clay. Sorry.
The only thing we have in Australia, like I said, grey and orange conduit rules. That's all.
They're about to start on the second level of cladding.
Oh, cool. I was going to jump over there to show you that actually we're on the build site. Let me just quickly find that. One of those days where I've got too many windows open.
Are you cold?
A little bit. I've got a flannelette shirt on. I've got a few layers on. It's starting to get cold. So they've got this panel on down here we saw get installed yesterday. And in some angles it is that one, isn't it? It's not that. I haven't mistaken it again, have I? No, it's that one down there. And sometimes of the day it's hard to actually see it. Where are you seeing that, Webby?
There should be I think it's overstaged over on the side there. The trailer with everything. I think they moved it over and staged it.
Oh, cool. Yep.
Yeah. So they should be starting with that tonight or later or something. Yeah. So they're gonna keep using that Buckner crane until like they think that their 1300 or whatever doesn't show up or something.
So these last few panels we saw get installed, the last of them yesterday, or my time yesterday, whatever time that was for you. And then, this panel here must be completed, or maybe even a couple of them by now have been completed and put on the trailer. Oh, this machine's just parked there. Look, that bit of steel is actually this bit of steel here, perhaps. They haven't actually put the panel down yet on that one there. So they've just parked it here while they're removing these panels. Well, that explains that. Cool. Now that was for 37 about, yeah. So there's another one of these going here, just out of curiosity, just out of curiosity, have a quick look at them. One sec. So it looks very much like this site, really, this is for 37, just outside the boundaries of 37 over at Florida. So it's very much the same compressor with its shaft and its drive motor, its drive shaft, and the tank, the intercoolers underneath. I think one of the photos actually shows that's like a 6 turbine pump, each one of them, and then actually the liquefaction side as well with a lot of the same equipment as we see at Starbase. Did this one is this the same size as the one at Starbase, right?
Looks like it's the same size, but I'd have to read the docs more.
Oh, sorry, I should ask about Dude that. He's the one who got this for us.
I haven't read the docs yet, so I'd have to read the docs as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Been busy doing videos.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's about the same size. But then again, I also wouldn't be surprised if it's a little bit bigger because they need a lot more prop at 37 than they need at Boca. So
Oh, is that your Spider's Crane, man? Wow. That's cool. I remember, yeah. No, because Jake's got tarantulas too. Wow, that's amazing. You've got heaps of them.
Over 100.
Do you breed crickets as well to feed them?
Yeah, crickets and grasshoppers and dubias, cockroaches.
Boy, that's really cool. You'll have to trade notes, yeah. Do you handle yours?
No, I keep them just in the enclosures.
Yeah, they do handle venomous snakes. I mean, to make anti-venom, they've got to milk the spiders and I guess spiders as well, and the snakes.
I have some pretty aggressive ones in the collection. And also when you have them on your hand and they drop on the floor, then they're gone.
Oh, really? That's a bad day, I imagine. All right. Let's see. So any more questions? How's chat going, Indy?
We're doing okay. We're trying to get back on Starbase stuff, but we've had quite a gambit of conversation.
Sorry, we've gone way off the rails today. Not complaining. We've got Weber to keep talking about Starbase for us. It's working really well, thanks. So the expansion out here, a lot of the groundwork's finished. It's looking good. So we may see very soon. I expect we'll see the pile driller getting busy with all the places for tanks and other equipment. So what is to come in first? So mostly mostly pumps and sub chillers and a water deluge, I suppose, mostly would be the main priorities, I guess, for now.
What's the pad itself, and then all the methane liquefaction, words. And then they got to run the natural gas line there as well. So there's a lot, unless they've already ran it. I don't remember. That's a Dave question, I think. But yeah, I mean, we'll see when they start all that. At this rate, I think they're trying to get at least a staging pad done behind the pad. By the looks of things, it's just one big like rectangle of concrete done, and then they'll go ahead and do all the other layers that they need to do everywhere else, and then start getting it concreted and start piles in locations where they want stuff, knocking out the break room, getting the pads set up for the heat exchangers, pumps, and everything. If they're going to do the same thing here, yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be a little bit though, but I'm kind of curious when they'll start knocking all that out and get started on the rest of it.
Well, now this building seems to be much closer to being commissioned now, with the wastewater tank being installed now. So, I mean, it still looks like they're doing stuff in there, but I imagine soon this bunker will be ready for use. And yeah, then hasta la vista. I mean, they're even putting in a charging station over there. Is one of the ideas that this is here is a charging station for the Teslas, for the Cybertrucks, for the beautiful Cybertrucks. Sorry.
Got a question for you from Fly Jake. He's wondering what happened to the conduit, all getting covered? I believe he was looking at the ASU when he asked the question.
It appears they've torn a heap out. There is a heap has been buried. Yes. Let me just go back there. So yeah, a heap of it has been buried, like all these conduits, this whole area. So we saw all these conduits exposed last week, and there was masses amounts of, I've even got it here, masses amounts of conduit in that area, as we can see here. So all this has been buried, and it looks like they've even completed oh, look at that. I didn't realize that happened there. And then these runs must have been finished all the way through. Where are they popping out? Over here? Oh, here they are here. Okay, so that's all those runs here. So all that's been buried all through here. Now over here though, this is a different story. They seem to have changed their mind over here. This is all removed. This bit's all been removed. So oh, that's right. Yeah. So last week, all this conduit, this end, all this has been removed. I'm not sure why. Like all these pop up, all this has been removed. These, let me see, these are still. these are still in place, just to here. So that's just these to here. This is still in place. Yeah, but from here on, all this has been removed. And yeah, nicely dumped in that trench there.
You know,
Got it.
it's one thing when you see SpaceX doing it because it's just a SpaceX thing. Make a plan, change it. Make a plan, change it. But this is a different contractor. Came in with a plan. You know, they knew what they needed to do. They knew what needed to be places. But to see it change like this is just kind of random to me. That does shock me too.
Gwen also has a question. She's wondering how many loads of concrete will be required to cover the entire expansion area.
Yeah. Lots.
All of them.
All of them.
Yes.
That's what Steph said. Mr. Patrick Scott is wondering what happened to the SpaceX branded LR 11,000.
It is in pieces, lots of pieces. Let me show you here. It's having a lot of maintenance done on it. Finally, I'll let maybe you can talk about that.
Is that a yearly refurb that they do on those, or is it a certain amount of hours?
This is the first time they have
Dismantled it.
Yeah, the first time they've done a full dismantling and everything of it since SpaceX got it. And it went vertical in, I think it was December of 2021. And it hasn't had a full refurb of its A-frame and winches since SpaceX got it brand new. So
There's going to be it's going to be a combination of hours and inspections because of the salt. They have to keep an eye on the salt.
Yeah.
But yet there will be a major set time frame for a major rehab that goes by hours.
Was it 2021 or was it 2022? It was 21. Yeah, it was 2021 because it was after it was right around the time when they installed the sticks on the tower for the first time. And that was the same year that they stacked Booster 4 Ship 20 for the first time using the LR 11350. So yeah, that thing hasn't had its winches or anything overhauled in 5 years, and it's in a very, very salt, humid laden climate, and that does not do any favors to metal or any kind of material at all. It's one of the harshest environments to be in, besides honestly Antarctica would be safer for the thing, to be honest.
Yeah,
because at least it's not humid. But yeah, it was due for an overhaul. It's getting an overhaul, and then when it's done with its overhaul here, I think the last thing that we heard was that it was going to take out the methane tanks, which, to say on that one, they recently transferred a lot of the stuff out of the methane tanks, out of the old ones over the last 2 nights. And those old methane tanks should be nearly empty at this point. And then the new ones should be more or less operational. And so they'll probably be used for Booster 12 Booster 19 static fire. I don't know why I said Booster 12, but
Dun dun dun.
even these ones seem to be getting emptied too.
yeah, I think they all got emptied.
And then they've been putting some in this tank. These tanks have been. Where's the fill line over here? They're using the fill line to transfer the commodity, the methane. That one's getting methane. You get methane. You get some methane, and you get some methane. And this one's venting too. Is the fill line over here? Yeah, the fill line over here is frosty too. Yep. And that other line. I'm sure, is that part of the fill? No, that's not part of the fill line. That's the fill line in there, but that one's frosty as well. I think that gets frosty when they fill this tank. This tank's a little tiny bit different. Some of its plumbing's up there, whereas these tanks, all the plumbing's down here. Alrighty, yeah, and the actually it's a good shot of that LR 11,000. It's sort of how it sort of works. You can see there's a winch spot and a winch spot. So this winch is for the A-frame and this winch is for the main lift, yeah.
And then, sorry.
And then there's the engine in here. I think they're the air cleaners, the other side, the other angle. I think that's one of the air cleaners for the engine is in that box there. This shot, they look like air filters, even with an air duct in there. And all the then associated hydraulics. So this thing's just a pure hydraulic pump. And so a lot of hydraulics comes up it. I wonder one day they'll make these electric rather than hydraulic. All right, thanks, Indy.
Got a couple more for you. T. Siren is asking, back at the production area, the wooden structure they're building at the ship park, it almost appears to be a mini flame trench. Is there a mini flame trench being built there?
Is he talking about the walls that they're putting up at Starship Park?
Back at the production area, the wooden structure they're building at the ship park.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah,
those are walls.
It's not going to be. Yeah, those are walls. Yeah.
That's what image you used. Trying to work out what image you used on the intro. Because I want to use it in the script.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, so let's see. Is there any other questions regarding Starbase? We might take a trip outside Starbase now. And
there are
look
two
around
more
the other
questions I
sites.
have for you.
Sure, go for it.
A DMHMT has a question regarding a couple of the images that she put in Patreon Lounge.
1 sec. Oh, yeah.
She's wondering, what are the 3 white blocks and what are they for? What are they for and why? There are another 3 more west along the north side of Highway 4 near Pad 2, she thinks. Or she writes, thanks, sorry.
Oh, vaults. Yeah. Electrical vaults. For, vaults can be for electrical or gas or water or whatever. But basically, it's used as a junction area and access area for, commodities and services and all that other fun stuff.
So here's a really good example of what they're using the vaults here. So this is the main electrical supply coming in from Brownsville, and I'm assuming it's phase 1, 2, and 3, and 3 phase, or maybe not. It may be different voltages too, but anyhow. So regularly there's these vaults pop up here, and you'll find where these are over here. There's maybe one to go with it. So they use it as a junction. One of the big uses is as a junction box. So something that's hard to do with underground cabling is to junction off. Like you see it on power lines where they just put clamps on the cables on the overhead power lines and run a line up to a house, whatever. With underground stuff, you've got to come up with a junction box. So one of the main uses for these for the electricians is to have a place to have junction boxes, and then off these junction boxes they'll run up to other sites up the side, and you'll find associated junction boxes that go with them.
I don't think an electrician would be qualified enough to run a ring main from a substation to a substation to a substation and back again, to be fair.
They're not. These are the sub-circuits. So the supply, there's another one, a really good example just here somewhere. Can't find the photo now. I think I've answered your question anyway. Down here, we saw there's some here again. And inside here, this area in here is just massive amounts of these bolts and electrical conduit as well under here. So when the mains comes along here and continues through. And yeah, if you've got your high voltage ticket, Martin, you're quite capable of. We're not doing ring mains or anything. All they're doing is tapping in supply. Now you may have a point though. This may be the electrical authorities' concern, the actual mains running along here, or it could have been put in privately by SpaceX, in which case it's the contractor's area of
No,
expertise.
the power stations will give you a ring main, right? And they'll live all your substations as long as it comes back to the same point. Yeah?
That's what I'm saying. This could be the supply authority's mains through here, but even still, like on the power poles, it doesn't really matter who's doing it. But the point of the vaults is like on a power line where you tap up, to a building. You've got to use these as junction boxes to tap off to the various different sites, and we're seeing, and then even more so. That's one of their uses for the electricity. Also over here where there's sub circuits and multiple different runs for different places, and these are controlled. There may be a lot of data in these as well, like Ryan was saying. So in here they're still using them as junction boxes, but it's just because it's all underground, you have to use these concrete bolts as junction boxes. Or sometimes when they do a massive direction change too, I think they use them as well. But basically, underground junction boxes. And and there's over the other end, sometimes they're a drain though. Sometimes you'll get tricked because like over here, these bolts are actually for drainage, but they tend to be smaller and different. Like we saw those massive ones over here too at the tower, over on that side of the tower. There's big bolts in there. And we've seen them burnt. They're all over the place. We see them installed everywhere. There they are there. They go from here. See those bolts over there? They're the same bolts. That's what they look like once they're finished off. Just a circle, just a manhole. And their matching bolts are over here on this side of the tower, over here. Up against the building right there. There's more of them. That's actually that's like 2-story. They go down. There's 2 bolts standing on top of each other there. So that's
What
a lot of.
happens to the volts that come from the Earth and neutral, though? Where do they go?
Well, that's an electrical. Do you want an electrical lesson? I can give you an electrical lesson. I'm not a bad teacher of electrical theory. Electrical theory is to have it's 3-phase. Ideally, you don't have any power going back through neutral, but sometimes there is. At every site like this, the main switchboard will have a big earth stake in the ground, and they'll join the neutral cable to that earth stake in what's called the main earth neutral link. There can only be one of them per installation for safety reasons, and that grounds the neutral. Anyway, that's the story for another day. The reason you have to ground the neutral, because if you don't, off the back of a transformer, the neutral doesn't necessarily stay at 0 volts compared to ground. It can float up to 1,000 volts above earth potential, which makes your 240 volt power point now 1,200 volts above earth potential, which is not good. It's very, very bad. Anyway, that's what happens to the neutral. In a balanced three-phase induction motor, we don't even run a neutral to them because it's a balanced load in 3-phase. But if you've got like a heap of single-phase power points running off different phases, you'll get an imbalance, and you'll have to run a neutral wire to carry the out of balance load. Sorry,
I was going to say, to start a 3-phase motor, don't you need a neutral or earth?
No, star. You've only got to join the. No, you don't have to. You don't have to put a neutral on the star point in a 3-phase star motor. No, you don't have to. Sometimes it is, but you don't have to.
Oh, I thought motors started off in delta, and you switch to star, and yeah.
Starts in star. The windings are in series, draws less current, and runs on delta when they're in parallel. But they only have to make them in series.
Neutral, doesn't it?
Yeah, but you don't have to earth that neutral. You don't have to run a neutral to the star point. Okay, we're going to go to the rest of the sites now, and I'm going to let Matt have a talk for a while.
DMHMT has one more question for you.
So of course, yes.
She's wondering if anyone on the team knows the rated capacity of the ASU compressor motors.
Oh yeah, there's some megawatts. Yeah, they're big. They're big mothers. Yeah, they're real big. I think 24, maybe 24. 24 seems way too big. So I've seen a 9 megawatt motor, and they're huge. But yeah, we do know that. I just can't get off the top of my head. Sorry.
12.1, sorry.
12.1 megawatts.
Megawatt, yeah.
Wow, that's huge. That's big. And which means they'll be running on probably, I would say, more than 1100 volts. They're probably maybe even up around 5000 volts or so. They'll be high voltage motors, because otherwise the current would be insane. They may even be 11 kV engines or something stupid.
And I think Alex had said at one point that based off the capacity of those compressors, I could be wrong on this, is that it could do like 900 tons of locks a day or something along those lines. So it would take a couple of days to make enough locks for a single stack. Because just the booster alone is in the realm of, what was it here? It's somewhere around here. The booster locks alone is like 3,000 metric tons. So, and that's not even counting the ship. The ship alone is over 1,000. So, it would take a while to. They can't even make enough locks. If that is the actual number for that, they can't even make enough locks for a full tank of gas for the ship in a single day. Even at 900 tons a day, I still can't do a full ship. Which is kind of nuts, but yeah.
Uh, 13.8
Okay, back to
kilovolts.
space flight.
Go ahead, Demented.
Your voltage you wanted, 13.8 kilovolt.
13.8 kilowatt. Cool, thanks. Yep. 9,000 volts, yep. Okay, thanks, Indy.
Did we want to go
Okay, I
over
think
the oil again?
The oil is. The oil is. See over here, there's an oiling system in your hair. Thanks, Matt. Okay, we'll go to the other sites. Do you want to take over for a little bit, Matt?
Yeah, I could do a little bit of talking for sure. Where do we want to start?
Wherever you like.
You're on the airport lot at the moment, but I haven't seen much change over there, honestly.
Okay.
Maybe the brown lot. Brown lot would be a good one. Yep, right there. So we didn't get a ton of pictures from this area. We have probably 3 or 4. There's a couple further down at the end there to your right. Those last 2 pictures, because see, that's the site that's across the street from the brown lot, where they're staging everything for Gigabay. But yeah, this is brown lot, and I thought maybe they were staging the stuff for BZI here, but I don't think that's what this is. I think that's what they're still doing across the street. I think this is going to be some sort of building. I don't know exactly what it is or anything, but definitely looks like they're getting set up to build a building there. Just below where you are currently, but it's off screen. This part of the site actually extends all the way down and around the old parking lot that was there, and about probably 2/3 of this new lot has been to extend the parking lot. And we can see, yeah, there you go. So you can scroll in and see there's cars, but if you get super close, you can start to see all the little parking things. Yep. Yeah, and those extend on every single aisle there, as you can see, all the way up. So it's going to basically effectively double the size of that parking lot right there. But then the parking things stop right there at the end of the parking lot. So looks like they're definitely going to be building something. I don't know if maybe it's just going to be like a logistics hub for the construction workers or what exactly it's going to be. So if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the contractor parking for the people that are working on Gigabay and stuff, if I'm not...
They look a lot like the steel they need to build those panels, and except for these, there's no other steel, like the walls and that yet. But I mean...
Right, and that's why they look a little different. I keep thinking that maybe they are for the BZI, but I just don't think they are.
It's very close to the photo. Hang on.
They're real close.
This might help you a little bit. I'm not trying to disagree with you at all.
No, it's okay. I want feedback on it, honestly.
Just seeing if these are the same. They got the, like, see these markings, see?
Right, but you see how these are relatively devoid of, like, marks and pieces and stuff? Like, some of them have them. There's some that has them. But the ones over at the Brown site has, like, a lot more on them. So that's why I feel like they just... I don't know. I could be wrong. But it seems like they're just adding more and more here. So we'll see. We'll see in the next few weeks. Because see, there's a whole bunch over there. And they've got all the trailers and everything over there. So that's why I feel like the BZI stuff's being put over in this lot versus the Brown lot.
Okay. They're not to do with the cladding, I don't think, but that... I'm not sure. Hang on, that's to do with gigabays and all that.
Right.
Are these actually the bridge crane rails already? They look a lot like them.
They're pretty big.
Don't know exactly. I know that the bridge crane rail tab columns have been showing up. I mean, there's several of them in Sanchez, kind of spread out. Just kind of an odd one, but yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see over the next few weeks. That's pretty much everything at the Brown lot, though. Not a whole lot going on over at those two lots right there.
Real quick at the Brown lot, aren't the cladding, whatever you want to call those, packages, the white packages, aren't those BZI?
They might be, but they could also be sheeting for a building. I'm just not sure. I'm trying to look at them closer. There's one that's like a little half unwrapped and stuff, but it's just so hard from the distance that we're at to see exactly what they are.
Yeah, that's cladding, I think. I'm pretty sure that's
Oh,
cladding.
could be.
You can see the layers.
A building at Brown lot?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Maybe they might be putting a building up there.
Aluminium, yay. Yeah, so there's a LOX tank from Massey's. Ugh, so yuck.
The other two are went to McGregor. And then there's still that one tank that they brought in that's still just there. It's not at the launch site. It's not at Massey's. I don't know where it's going to go. It's going to go somewhere.
Now, trying to find Rio West and that.
There you go. Same with Rio West. Not a whole lot of changes. We did see a couple of mega packs come in down there at the back where they're getting ready to start doing some extra, as you can kind of see. Oh,
sorry. Down here. Yep, I see.
Yep. So they did that over the last few weeks. They were extending the wall down there and doing some work, and then you can see there is a excavator still doing some work currently, doing some clearing. Nope, the one below it, actually, the red one. Yep, there you go. So maybe more megapacks. Not 100% sure. We'll see how that goes too. I think those might have been moved from somewhere because they are pretty dirty on top. So I think they have been repurposed from some other area. They are not the ones that moved from Sanchez, though, because those were a slightly different style. So yeah, that's that. And then over towards the center of the undeveloped area, we've got a little bit of landscaping basically going on. It looks like they're using it as like a landscaping hold area. Yeah, up at the top there in the newer area that hasn't been touched. Yeah, where all the palm trees and stuff are. Yep, there we go. So they've got a couple of areas for like palm trees and potted plants and a few different hills of different types of dirt and stuff. So it looks like it's probably like a landscaping hold area currently, as they have been finishing off the landscaping around the back of the apartment area and stuff like that. So they're pretty close to finished with all that. They've practically cleared out that second little holding lot that was up there as well. No, the small one that was just below and to the right of that area. Yep, just to the right of your hand there. That was filled with boxes a couple of weeks ago, so that one's pretty much cleared out now. And then the site that is basically right next to Chompy's, there are a couple new vehicles over there, so maybe we might start seeing some construction over there soon, possibly. I know we've saw a couple of sheds and things like that moved out of there, and they've got like a slightly newer RV in there at the moment. To the left, just north of Chompy's. Yeah. So you can see in the empty area north of it, north up. There you go. There's that little RV and a couple of vehicles in that empty lot right there. Yep. And so it looks like they're probably getting started on some things over there.
Cool.
Yeah. They're really finishing off on the oh my gosh, the building off to the right there, the rec center, sorry. They had those containers that were actually like sitting on the area that's going to be grassed and on like the sidewalk and stuff, and those have been moved off onto the road now. So they're the ones all the way to the left there. Yeah, right where your hand is, they were sitting there, and now they've been moved off onto the road. So they're starting to clean up and finish things off. You can see them putting the last finishing touches on a lot of the windows, adding some trees and stuff like that into the front. So they're really starting to polish it up.
Still no water in the pool.
I imagine we're probably a few weeks away from that still.
Of course, they've been over the last few weeks about it all, like the gate and that.
Mm-hmm. Which I wonder how they're gonna work that gate with the individual owners that are in there. If they're just gonna give them passes and just let them use it, or how that's gonna work. But there's slight movement on the other side too, the one that road that goes around the corner there. If you can find a picture.
Just give me a second here.
There you go. Nope, to the right, there you go. So if you want to click on the one just there, you go. That would be perfect. So we got the construction that's going on there, and like I was saying last week, it almost looks like it's like a single home on the right, but then also maybe a duplex or a garage space or something going in right to the right of it on the same land. You can see the foundations and stuff. It just doesn't look the same as all the different homes that they poured, so I'm not sure exactly what they're doing with that small area.
That's 2 different plots.
Oh, it's one plot on the county map. That's why I'm having such a hard time with it, because on the Cameron County assessor's thing, that's one plot. So it just feels weird that they're doing multiple buildings when all their other ones have been one single building, you know. And then yeah, right where your hand is, they've been clearing that out too. Last week that was all grass and plants and stuff, and now they're clearing that out. And SpaceX does own that, so we're likely going to see some of their houses going into that area too.
Hey Matt, does SpaceX own that last lot they were just talking about?
Yes. Yeah, the one
The
one on that
1
corner. Yeah, they own that one. So they don't own the one to the right of it, and they don't own the one to the left of it. But they do own that one. Yeah. So that big one on the right, I'm not sure who owns that one. It's an individual owner. No, the finished house. But yeah, and then the other finished house on the other side is also a private owner. And then that one right there is SpaceX owned.
The one right there that your hand is on right now. No, back to the other one. The other side, right there. No,
in the middle.
In between that one. That one is SpaceX personnel that live there. Right next to it,
that's their chief architect's house.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, then it's in their name, not SpaceX, and that's the only reason why.
Yeah, and the one on the end that you're talking about, that big one, was built by SpaceX. It may have been transferred to somebody else, but that was
Right.
SpaceX property.
Well, and the only reason why I say that is just because on the records, they don't say that they're owned specifically by SpaceX. They say individuals' names. And so I don't know any deeper than that, basically.
The rumor for a long time was that was Elon's mom's house, but I don't know that was ever true.
It's not under the Musk name, but I mean, who knows, right? Yeah, that's basically everything going on in Rio West.
All right, cool. So at Astra area.
Yeah, that's a great picture because it kind of shows you the area in between the school and the contractor housing and all that kind of stuff, because they own most of that area in between there. There are, I think, 4 lots in there that are owned by other people that aren't SpaceX, but they're just a few like kind of up along the road and stuff like that. They own most everything else right through there. Yeah, they own that whole back section and everything.
Is SpaceX putting a gate on Richardson or on that road that connects Richardson to the, I'll call it the rec center? Because, we just talked about them putting in a gate.
Down here.
It's up to the upper left.
Oh, up there.
Yeah, is there a gate on that road?
Good question. Hang on, we can see that road. That's one end of that road. And forget the whole road. Let's look this tiny corner bit. I don't think we got a photo of just that corner, sorry. But
I haven't seen one yet.
You'd imagine one here, wouldn't you? Or even on, I suppose, even on that road on the highway even, but there's...
Yeah, I would imagine it'd probably be on that access road.
And then, just give these people because they're just a fob these days. It's just a key ring, really, these days. It's pretty easy to do. Our model aeroplane club has one. It's just a fob. You wave it at the padlock, and the padlock unlocks itself. There's no key or anything. It's pretty simple. And with the gates, it's the same sort of simple fob. Fob, is that the right word? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, let's zoom in on Ad Astra quickly. I mean, now.
Yeah, so they've finished irrigation. Irrigation's all done. Landscaping is really going in like crazy right now, as you can see. They've been filling all those little C-shaped planters and stuff with plants, so that's nice.
Yep. Ah, are they just deciduous trees, I hope? It's just the wrong time of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually whenever trees are bought, unless they're bought at a local place, if they get shipped or something, they usually bear.
They're really, yeah. We still
Yeah.
a lot of that over here too, yep.
But yeah, you can see those lines up in that corner there. They just got done with the irrigation. When you scroll in super close, you can actually see all the little pop-ups and stuff. Yeah, you can kind of see it there.
Cool. Yeah. So it's maybe a lawn area.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like they've been doing some concreting, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They've really been finishing off that road. They just about to finish off the little roundabout down at the very bottom there too. It's very interesting how they're doing the roundabout, the area in front of the school along the highway. Be interesting to see what they do.
Oh, at least they got turning lanes for them. Oh, this is another. Oh, it might be a construction access. When they start constructing over here, they may use that as an access for the next phase.
Yeah,
I
they've
bet
got
you
they've
there's
got
a
4
gate-
or 5 of those.
I bet you there's a gate that goes in right after that, right where your hand is, so that's a turnaround so people can turn around and get out of there because they can't get through.
Yeah, very likely.
Yeah, I don't mind. It's not a bad design. See what the architect sort of was thinking there. It's sort of that straight line through there is kind of interesting. And then kicking up like this.
Yeah, so if you go to a slightly pulled out shot of this area too, I can tell you a little bit different too. So look in between, halfway between the school and the contractor housing. There's that lighter, the lighter area right there. And if you go right up towards Highway 4 and go down, there you go. You're almost right on it. You can see they're starting to run a couple extra power poles, and there is a generator, or not a generator,
Transformer.
Thank you, transformer there. And then there's another one all the way down at the end of that little aisle. No, the aisle you were on. Yeah, there's another one there, and there's a couple like little small ones. So I'm not exactly sure what they're doing right there just yet.
So where's this one's power come up? It might be at Astra's power.
Could be.
Just see. I'm just trying to find them because it already have power. I'm wondering if there's any tap ups. We can see any tap ups. No, can't see any tap ups along there at all. Not at all. We would see it. We'd see what you're seeing over there. We would see that may be an underground coming off that pole.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, that's probably most likely. Let's see how far that one. Yeah, that could be where the power's coming into the site, but
Looks like
that
there's
could also
one
be
of
where the
those.
power's coming in.
Yeah, if you go all the way to the right before the water there's a little to the right. All the way to the right.
So I was just saying if this was electrical.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, here we go.
What is that?
Yeah,
Stuff?
Oh, okay, that's just drainage. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, it's only drainage, yeah.
That little
That
thing
looks
you
like-
were just
that might
looking
be an
at though is
underground.
just like a just a container.
In here, yeah.
Yeah.
The large shoulder on that road, is that indicative of their planning for expanding the road and the power poles have to shift soon? or sometime in the
Yeah.
future?
Yes. Some of the power poles are already being moved. Let's see if it's on this image. I thought it was on this image. Yes, and they're having trouble with areas like this to get the final paperwork through. Not trouble, they're having to go through a process to get this little piece here, kind of places like that. There's a few of them. There's another one near Starbase, where it gets really just along here somewhere. It gets really close to or just before Starbase, I think, where where there's not much dirt there's not much height between the water and the road. It's near a wetland. Sorry, my words are not working today so much. Cool. Let's move along.
Yeah, I think one of the only other sites that I have a little bit of interest in is the one that's at the very end of the reel. Yeah, so if you look down at the very front right along Highway 4, this is actually the place where they have a couple of little like signs to Elon. I don't know if they're joke signs or what exactly they are, but they're not flattering, I'll say that.
Is that where the head is?
Yep.
Isn't that's a private development, isn't it?
One of the most gloriously disgusting things there is.
Yes, there is. Yeah. Well, that's why I was looking at this place, because with all the water lines and things that you can see there, it looks like they are getting ready to put something in here. I don't know if it'll be an RV park or if it'll be a home site or what it's going to be, but it's going to be something.
It looks like a dump site for their busted up concrete is what it looks like. They've been paying them to dump their concrete there.
Yeah, but you could see a lot of movement and stuff, and then as you can see there's a whole bunch of piping and stuff like that. There's white pipes off to the side, and none of this was cleared or cleaned up or anything on Google Maps. So just a couple of years ago, this was non-existent practically. So you got something going on.
The dumping fill all the way back here, and they've been doing it for some time too.
Oh yeah, it goes even further than that. Yeah, you can see a whole nother section up there, and then all the way at the north, there's even more. So, yeah. And I looked this up, too, and this was kind of like a private owner as well, not like a corporation or anything else.
Not definite signs of building happening or anything happening in the near future.
But it looks like it.
It could be a staging spot, too, for something they're doing somewhere else. But, yeah, they're definitely getting... it's not even clean fill. We wouldn't call that clean fill. We're just kind of like broken up concrete. You quite often see a sign, clean fill, welcome. Because quite often, like swimming pool companies, they have trouble getting rid of the dirt. So it's just nice to have somewhere where you can dump dirt or other, material like this. It's a very much a wanted quantity, somewhere to dump dirt. Let's have a quick look through this gasification plant. Let me see, we got the other sort. I'll have a look at the electrical bunker over there. Because, electricity. Electricity, you have a bit of interest in it. Oh, look, they poured the roof fully. Which one? This one, wasn't it? The newest one? Yeah, this one to be poured. Hang on, or was it that one? No, now I'm confused. I'm pretty sure this one was the last one to be poured. Good. Oh, they're working on the pier down here. What's going on down here? Oh, that's actually a barge, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
They do well to put cranes on barges, I reckon. So what are they doing, I wonder? Something.
Are they putting another one of those platforms in there, maybe?
Wouldn't think so. So we all know this, don't we? This is where they're going to park a ship and fill it up with liquid natural gas. Are they walk? I guess that's where they're going to tie it up. Put the ropes on too. Of course, I guess there'd be a big bumper pad put on the front of these for the ship to lean against. Well, there is something. Yeah, maybe that's what they're doing. Look, there's one there not finished.
Because when they're loading and unloading, they've got to be right next to the towers that are just to your right. So I don't see why. I guess maybe tie off spots there, but what are the ones that go along the road or along the edge of it? They just similar to the design. They've got a walkway from a mall. I don't know. It's just weird to me. Or maybe
I just worked it out. They're putting the walkways in. That's a walkway pillar. So were you asking what these are, Todd?
yeah, like why are they along the waterway when the boats aren't going to get that close? Not the big ships.
No, it's to give the rope some distance. The ship will park here. We pulled against these stoppers here, and there'll be 3. I don't call them ropes. I can't remember what they call them. Up to the bank, and that's quite common, and that stabilizes the ship. Moorings, yeah, and it gives them a
That's
bit
a
of.
little bit far to be tossing a rope. There would be
No,
that rope's got to be 100 and 200 feet long.
That's what they do is they throw a small rope to the guy who walks down the ramp and takes it down there, and then they pull the bigger rope with the smaller rope.
Yeah, I understand that, but and they shoot a gun too with the small rope. But at the same time, that distance is very far away from the ship.
Well,
That's why they're putting that walkway in.
Yeah, what can I say? They're going to have a ship. Now, the ship's not just this big. The ship's probably about this big out to here, maybe even bigger. So it's only just that distance. No, that's not an uncommon thing. I've seen that before with docks. This is not uncommon by any means, especially on in this industry where they put, because it's different to container ship docks where you have, where you do berth the ship right up against the wharf. That's a little bit different. But out here, I don't know. That's what they're going to do. They can't unless they put something in the water, they can't put the tire points any closer, and they can't take the ship any closer to the bank because of the depth. But that's what'll happen.
The walkway makes a whole lot of sense to make that happen, doesn't it?
The walkway.
Yeah, and you can see half of the walkway is up and half of it, the stuff behind the crane is not there. The stuff to the left of the crane is there.
Yeah, this crane's here to install these walkways. Yep. Then they've got that one to do, probably across here as well, I imagine. And then of course this one over here. Do the walkways in here as well. It's for walkways, Todd.
Okie dokie. Thank you.
Sorry, it took me a second. It's all good. Electrical, yeah, they're starting to run all these electricals out. Man, that's a big electrical installation. Now, this is an electrical installation. This is where things get real big and real crazy and really expensive.
It still makes me laugh. That building is massive, but compared to everything else around there, it just looks like a little tiny hut.
Yeah. I think these are electrical distribution buildings too. I think we worked that out. And those big runs, running to each of these massive transformers. A pipe sticking out of the ground. Where does the main pipe come in? It must come in somewhere over there, does it? The main gas line. It's over there somewhere. Okay, so yeah, let's just it's going to seem like it's going to take years to finish this off, but they're moving along. Continue along. They'll get there sooner or later. I don't have any at the other end of the site. Oh, yeah, here's some more. Oh, look at that. Oh, different angles. We saw from ground shots, I think it was in here, there's a compressor circuit in there. Kelly's making a cheesecake. Yum, yum. It's got that Biscoff on top of it as an icing. Yum, yum.
They're getting everyone else hungry. Mean.
If you don't have enough for the class.
You just had a piece yourself?
Yeah,
Awesome.
if you don't have enough for everyone, then
Uh-huh.
don't say it. Yeah.
I've got plenty. It's just a bit of a trip for you to come and get it, that's all.
Mail it?
I ain't delivering.
Oh man, I don't get preferential treatment. What am I doing here?
Yeah,
So now
there
we
you
know
go.
why you're here. You're here for the preferential treatment.
He's here for the
I
sweets.
see you, Webby.
Crap.
Run, run, run,
Oh,
run,
there you
run.
go.
You can actually see the
Edit
lines.
out
there.
now.
Yeah, you can.
Good job, Steph.
That's Event Dudes. Thanks, Event Dudes. He's always on top. It's amazing. I love having Event Dudes around when I do it.
Yeah, dude.
Alaska, you were saying something. What were you saying?
I just said the same thing. You could see the lines running from the ship to the points that we were talking about.
Yeah, so I moved it away too quickly. Yeah, you can see the moorings. Yeah. Like I said, it's pretty common practice in the shipping industry that I've seen. I've never worked in the industry. I only see things like on videos and what have you, and every now and again I read something about it. But yeah, selling your gas up to the world like a good productive country is. Now this is that gate. Oh, there's a proposed gate there for Rio West, but doesn't look like there's any over here for now. Imagine there would be at some stage some kind of gate. I guess though, I mean, most of the public would probably try to come in that way. I don't know whether if people, I don't know, it wouldn't be hard. If you really wanted to get in there, it wouldn't be hard to go around even either way now to get in there anyway.
Right, yeah.
I wonder
So
why it looks like they have driveways into the water.
Boat docks?
Yeah, but they don't have them. So I just thought that was kind of weird.
Not yet.
Yeah, true.
That's the road. That's not into the water. That's into the properties.
No, down below.
Yeah, down below and on top.
Well, the roadway is what's turning off of it. The water isn't even shown on this. The water is further down. Those are the properties to the south side or to that side of the road.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
But that's flipped around.
No.
And I'll show you.
Yeah, that
I'll show you what I
one.
mean,
Yeah, it's upside down. So those ones that we were just looking at were right along the Rio.
They are right
No,
along the
they're
Rio,
not.
but the Rio is not shown. The Rio is further down than what's on the drawing.
I'll show you how quickly. Trying to find the image again. So yeah, the end of the drawing's about here. The end of the drawing's not over there. The end of the drawing's just here. They don't show the rip. They don't show all this part of. They don't show any of this land.
Yes, they do.
What we see is these driveways here. The map.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's what that. Okay.
We don't see the river down here. This is land in here. We're just seeing that. We're seeing to this line here.
Yeah.
Well, in drawing, we can see this, but the drawing stops there. Oh, the river might be just. Oh, sorry, you're saying the river actually, the line is actually just below just off the actual map. And same here. See, that's
Mm-hmm.
over there. That block's there. But we can't see. Yeah, so it's over here somewhere. The river, the bank. Anywho, cool.
And more than likely, they'll put a gate there. I have a theory that right now they can't because there's a provision in one of the right-of-ways next to Massey's that if they ever block that off, they have to give him access to that road, even though they've vacated that road that's further down to Massey's. That's my only guess about why there's no gate there currently.
Cool. Okay, I think we'll finish the show up today with a little bit of a look at the ship formerly known as the JFK. Boy, they're really ripping into it. You can't see any of the cat anymore. Oh, Yeah, no, you can't see any of the cat anymore at all.
Did they get rid of all the diner tables? Is that gone too, or am I just not used to seeing it from this angle?
Yeah, they were a couple of levels up, Todd. They got rid of them last week. They already dug into that level.
Cool, thanks.
They're almost
they're
down
pretty-
to the hangar deck on the front.
Remember our
So, was that-
discussion on large stepper motors?
Yep.
Aren't the new catapults actually stepper motors on the new carriers?
Oh, they're a
For the,
railgun,
for the
basically.
catapults?
Yeah, they're called EMALs. They're electromagnetic launchers. So
Yeah, but it's basically a electrical coil that pulls a magnet along it, right? There's something similar like that.
Yeah, pulls and pushes. They'll have like three, or more than three, but just think of like three in a line. The beginning one magnet will start pulling while the other one behind it's pushing, and then they just kind of pass it off down the way until you're in the air.
That's the same configuration we had in our typewriters. Worked exactly the same way, much smaller scale, obviously. But we were talking about, that was that would be like a large stepper motor we talked about. And I thought about this and thinking these are stepper motors too, kind of.
it's a linear induction motor, is what they use for EMALs.
But I see what you're saying.
I liken it sort of more to like a rail gun. There's like coils along the thing, and they're timed so that as the carriage accelerates, and the carriage is attracted to whichever one's active, and then they're switched on just ahead of it and switched off or reversed from behind.
Yeah, you're not having moving parts. You're doing all with electricity.
You are the moving part at the plane.
Yeah.
So is that what you're saying? Your electric actuators were like more like that rather than like an internal thread or something?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay.
And it was computer controlled, so it had extremely high accuracy.
Well, yeah. I'm not sure what I'm going to open here and there. I think they're the coils, are they? There actually. So see the electrics all the way along the side. Yeah, it basically creates a moving magnetic, magnet that the magnet follows. The other magnet follows basically.
Yeah, in some ways you could call EMALs a mass driver. Really?
Or a railgun.
Right. Well, they're not the same thing. They both accelerate things with electromagnetism, but they do it different ways.
Was that down below? Was that them launching the forklift?
Yeah, no, the dummy thing.
Yeah.
Dummy sled. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought I saw a picture of it years ago, and actually launching a forklift off of it.
Although I will say, from what I've heard, even in flight ops, hasn't been the smoothest introduction into combat. But, it's a brand new technology, so you're always going to have quirks and issues.
Oh, they've had a ton of troubles with it. It's taken a lot more time, money than they first thought. And it was almost, there was talk about scrapping the idea at one stage. Maybe that was a political statement, but they've persevered, and they're
It would have been really hard to scrap EMALs and switch to steam on the Gerald R. Ford class, because the reactors on board, and as well as the piping throughout the ship, was not even remotely designed to use steam. So you would have had to completely redesign the Gerald R. Ford class from the ground up to switch back to steam. And there was no way the Navy was doing that. Each ship already cost $14 billion. They weren't going to do that.
Why not? That's normal. Come on.
Chump change.
Same in Australia too. It's the same over here.
This is like the Gerald R. Ford class is really it's the first surface combatant, if you want to call it that, in a long time for the U.S. Navy that's actually been put to sea, and that they're actually going to make the production run of, because like they didn't do it with the Zumwalts. The Zumwalts were supposed to be a 24 ship class line of stealth destroyers, which are almost the size of cruisers, and then it never happened.
Well, they built 3 of them, right? And they've tried to
They built-
reconfigure them a couple times.
They've been weapon testing platforms at this point, really.
Oh, they don't use
DDG
magnets.
1000, DDG 1001, 1002, 1003.
They don't
And-
actually use magnets. They use like an induction motor. They use
Yeah.
the electromagnets induct a current into the sled, and that creates an opposite electric magnetic field.
It is much smoother. It is way better on the pilot, on the airframe itself, on the deck itself, on the aircraft carrier. It takes up much less room, and it takes more power than the steam ones, but then again, you're not pulling steam off of the actual reactor, you're just taking power from the reactor instead of steam. So it's also more efficient for the reactor on board, so you then can power your other things like electronic warfare systems, lasers, when eventually they come into service, as well as everything else on board the carrier. It is kind of funny because after all this time, we finally made EMALs, which we didn't originally make steam catapults. The UK came up with that first, and we took it from the UK. But in their like third major carrier design and their like first true nuclear carrier, the Chinese are already using EMALs already, like that. But
That's a Chinese boat. Yep. Sorry, didn't mean to show that. Sorry.
they don't have the thing with the Chinese is, while they are building a lot of carriers, they don't have the experience with nonstop carrier operations for the last 80 years. 90 years, in fact. 95, if you want to go all the way back to Langley and Lexington and Saratoga. But,
It's the Navy Hour with Ryan Weber. That's cool. Thanks for that. That's awesome. Oh, look, the rudders are gone. She's rudderless. We got no steering, Captain.
Are they on the dock somewhere?
They could be. Here, I think that's the panels.
Yeah. That's really the rudders right there. Those are the rudders.
That looks like a rudder.
Those are gigantic. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see that top piece that we were looking at last week.
Basically,
the round piece up there, up to the left. Yeah.
Those are designed in mind to, at max speed, which these things could probably go like 33 knots, to hard turn a carrier at high speed, and not rip off. So you're talking about it was the oh, I gotta see what the carrier.
30 knots. This is 30 knots. This is 32 mile an hour. So this is actually not even quite 30. 32 knots would be more like 40 mile an hour-ish, or 38 mile an hour.
Basically, those things are designed to have to hard turn a carrier when fully loaded. This carrier displaces 82,000 tons, and hard turn it at 34 knots. That's what they're designed for.
That's me, my brother, and my cousin on the Murray River in Australia, having a bit of fun. Not wearing any water skis. Cool. I wish I could do that still. I'm a bit unfit to do that now. That's pretty impressive. Like 30 knots. That's 32 knots. That's faster than a lot of people might think. Like I said, we barefoot at 32 mile an hour, or 35. So that's like, and when you're barefoot, it seems really fast. And most water ski craft That's about their top speed as well. It's sort of 35, 38 mile an hour, 40 mile an hour. Like to go to 50, 60, 80 mile an hour, you need one of those big wheelbarrow boats with the big block engines and all that sort of fun stuff in them. But just for the normal, your normal weekender that most people have when they're water skiing. I know water skiing's pretty big in Australia. It might not be quite as big in America, especially the northern states. Okay, that's the Ford. The Kennedy.
Let's see here. This is from. So I'll just post this in Patreon Lounge here real quick here. If you want to pull it up, if I'm talking, this is the Gerald Art Ford. Let's see here. What is it? Basically, you're the 100,000 ton carrier at 30 plus knots, hard turning. These are the speed trials before commissioning. That's what they want a carrier to be able to do. Like it's like Tokyo drifting through the water.
That's pretty maneuverable. I wonder if they got bow thrusters running as well while they're doing this.
No, there's 4 screws on the back. Propellers. They're called they're screws, but yeah.
Yeah. So that's sort of torpedo avoidance maneuvering, I guess.
I think I forget how many screws. I think it has 4.
She gets a bit of a lean up.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 propulsion shafts. So that's 4 screws in the back with likely at least 2 rudders, possibly 3. I don't know how many rudders she has, but yeah.
Maybe 4. I could imagine it has one on each.
No, when you do that, you place the rudders between the prop, between the screws. You don't place them in front of the screws. And you don't, it's not always a mismatch because like for instance, there were 2 screws on the Fletcher class destroyer and it had 3 rudders. So you could do high speed turns with the Fletcher class, which really helped it avoid Japanese kamikaze planes with that maneuverability. But yeah, you don't want your rudder right in front of your prop. You get a lot of water interaction, and that's not good for any of that.
Speedboats do. That's just slightly left of centre, or it's just slightly right of centre, depending which way it spins. Like the drag boats and all that. All the boats I've been involved with, they sit just straight in line with the prop. But some of the speedboat we call them propellers, but it's just slightly off centre though, just one side. I think it's to do with the I think it's to deal with what you were talking about, the interference with the rudders, because it's your best stream. It's where the most, water's going past, I guess. But ships might be different on scale of ships. I mean, we're talking little tiny, 6-inch propellers compared to these things that are like a couple of meters, aren't they? They're quite big.
Ooh. Interview with Jared Isaacman. There you go.
With what's his name what's his name? Yeah.
Max.
Yeah, Max, yeah.
Yeah, premiering soon. Yeah. I'm gonna plug it because it's Artemis 2 is what are we at right at this moment? L minus 20 hours and 35 minutes. There's hopefully by this time tomorrow night, the ICPS should be close to separating from the core, or no, I should say Orion should be close to separating from the ICPS at around like T plus 3.5 hours or so. So getting there.
Just before we left to speaking, Jared, what are some of the things have you seen that Jared's changed at NASA for the good of things since he's taken over?
I mean, I agree with the changes a lot to Artemis. And I do think you need a higher launch cadence. The every couple of years for a launch does not help not only your capability to do a launch, because you always run into issues like seals and other things. As everyone, I know a lot of people here know, mechanical things don't like sitting around for protracted periods of time. Like the mobile launchers don't like sitting around not being used. And I'm glad we're doing that. We're canceled Gateway. As much as I want a space station around the moon, but if they're going to use the power propulsion module to turn it into a nuclear spacecraft, the first nuclear spacecraft in human history, like actually nuclear powered spacecraft, I am all for that, because I think that's what we should be doing. Starship, and I'll tie this into Starship. Starship is god awful for doing what Elon wants it to do, to go to Mars and beyond in the solar system. I'm sorry, but his whole thing of wanting to push into the solar system using launching starships at Saturn and at Mars is beyond stupid. It's stupid. You use Starship in low Earth orbit and the moon to construct a nuclear powered ship and then go deep into the solar system. Keep starships attached as your shuttlecraft, basically, to ferry people to and from the surface of planetary bodies. But to just use Starship only that's beyond dumb. It's beyond stupid. For long space voyages, it's not enough room. There's a lot of room in Starship, but you don't have like a centrifuge to simulate gravity. You can't. This isn't the Expanse, where you have a fusion drive that you can simulate gravity on. While humans have done relatively well on the ISS, for a really, really long protracted period of time, you need to have some kind of simulated gravity. And I think that we need to build that stuff in low Earth orbit. But as for the rest of NASA, I can't wait for a moon base. I can't wait for the start of a, nuclear power in space, because that's where we've needed to go for a while. And yeah, it's cool. I'm glad of the changes he's made. It's the only good pick. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I thought he was a good pick too myself. Yep.
The only one.
He's got experience. He's got experience. He knows how money works. He's got good experiences for the job, I reckon.
If only we could put more money. Never mind. I'm not going to say that.
We won't go there, but I agree. I totally agree with your sentiment there, for sure.
FYI, Ryan, it has two rudders.
There's two? Okay. Makes sense. I was trying to find a picture of it, but yeah. It makes sense. Most carriers have had two.
Yeah. All right. Whereas container ships tend to only have one. Man, I think we can wrap up the show. I think we've done enough Xpanded for one day. I've revealed way too much about my personal life on a pretty It's all good.
For sure.
Enjoy your cheesecake.
I'm gonna It's just putting the butter in the biscuit crumbs as we speak. Yum yum. So I'm going to thank everyone for their amazing support today. That's just so amazing. So good to see it. It's a real privilege to sit here and do these shows with you all and see people actually support the show. That's really amazing to see. So really thank you from the bottom of my heart about all those donations. It was just so nice to see. And all the contributors today, good on you. I'm Stephanie B, and I'll leave it with Matt. Thanks.
All right, yeah. Thank you to Ryan and Jake and Todd and Event Dudes and Alaska and everybody who's been chiming in. We really appreciate all you guys. And we're about 3.5 days away from our next flyover, scheduled for Saturday at 11 a.m. Central. So we look forward to seeing you all then. So until then, we will say goodbye. Love, peace, and chopstick rail grease.